Oh, wow. Let's see. Okay, hopefully this is working. I keep switching this up. Let's see. Let's see, did I get this? Okay. Alright. Oh, sweet, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, oh shit, it worked. Now I have to say stuff. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, I hope the audio on this is working and everything. Hopefully that'll be right. But yeah, so this is like impromptu. I wasn't going to come on today, but well, okay, I saw something on like the trending page, and I don't usually like really pay attention to like what's trending. I feel like, you know, just gotta like vibe on whatever is like resonant with you in the moment. And plus, I feel like everyone's always talking about everything that's on the trending page, like all the time, and like, and I know that's how the game is with like views and all of that. But like, I don't know, it's not really, you know, I try not to focus too much on that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, I just feel like, you know, if you find something interesting that you want to talk about, then that's what you should focus on rather than like the trending stuff that like everyone else is doing. But I saw this and I watched like a minute of it and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should like maybe I should like get on here and play it. I don't know, it's a weird vibe to this video. Like let's see. Let's see if I have this set up right. Oh, sweet, it's like actually connected. Sweet, awesome. Oh wait, can I, wait, oh shit, well, now that I'm here, let me just, 1 second, you guys. Like I just said, 1 second. Can I actually do that right now? Oh shit, yeah, okay, fuck. Nice. Yeah, YouTube's stepping it up, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, I just had to like come on here and vent about this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna play like what this is. It's the like GQ interview of Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, and it's so bizarre, and I feel like the vibe is so fucked that like I don't know. I at least have to vent about this. If anyone wants to come in and like talk about it, that's awesome. That would be great. But if not, that's entirely possible too. Yeah. But like I don't know. This is just gonna be like my mind like just blurting out a bunch of stuff about this because it's so bizarre. And I don't know, and if I'm wrong on this, like I don't know if I'm reading this the wrong way, like chime in, tell me, let me know. Because I don't know, it's fucked, dude. Like this is not, I feel like this is some weird like promotional thing. I don't know. I only saw a minute of it, so I'm gonna like pull it up and I don't know. If anyone finds this ever, or I don't know. If you're watching this on replay, then leave a comment because middle of the night, I know, but like I had to what the fuck is this shit? Like my soul is like disturbs my soul. So ready? Okay, here we go. Mass. Okay.
I'll tell you where we first met.
Where did we first meet?
At a GQ party.
Fox, oh, actually tell that story.
Right. You said to me,
you smell like weed.
And I said,
I really hope that this is like the audio is right for this. I have no idea.
Hi, I'm Megan Fox.
Hi, I'm Colson Baker.
Oh, is that your real name?
Sometimes.
And this is the GQ couple quiz. Okay. How many tattoos do I have? Name them out while it's best to go by.
Your ankle, back of your neck, Benici. You have it. Back.
I hate that noise.
You got ours. You got my nickname. and then the one I just gave you, and then the one right below the one I gave you, which is the yin yang.
That one doesn't count. No, that one doesn't count. My other rib cage is also tattooed.
That's what I said.
You only said Nietzsche in my back.
We'll count the other rib cage too. That's 9, right?
The bonus, if you want to redeem yourself, is what does my back tattoo say?
It's fucking weird vibe, dude. Like,
close. You're in the vicinity. That's not correct, but do you know what it's from?
okay, first of all, how bizarre is it that like that like this is a thing that like why is this happening? Okay, like why are they doing this? Why would anyone do this? This is like, I mean, they're not really a couple, right? Like who has like a whole interview and shit about like your relationship? That's fucking weird. Like that's fucking weird. This whole thing is this is just a weird project to me. Like the weird exercise, all of this, I don't know. Like, I don't know, I was kind of like, I know, I thought it was cool that they got together for a minute, because, like, I know, Megan Fox is, like, crazy. She's, like, a crazy girl, which I feel like we need more of, and I feel like, yeah, a lot of, like, you know, which, I mean, I can relate, okay? But, like, you know, a lot of, like, you know, crazy, you know, train wrecks or whatever, like, they're fun. They're interesting. Like, they're just, you know, not fucking boring. And I appreciate that about Megan Fox. And I feel like, you know, her with, like, Brian Austin Green, I feel like, you know, she's very, she got all normal and shit. And that, you know. I mean, okay, that's great, that's nice, but it's like a Reese Witherspoon kind of thing. Like, used to be crazy, but now you're, like, boring, and I don't know if I buy it. I don't know. It's very, like, or not Reese Witherspoon, sorry, Drew Barrymore. I was messing those two up. Yeah, like, yeah, used to be crazy, but I guess Reese Witherspoon too. Like, but she's more like a, like, angry crazy. But like Drew Barrymore, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know, I'm supposed to, like, I'm sorry, you come from, like, an old storied Hollywood family, and I'm supposed to think that, like, oh, you just switch it off and become normal and, like, you know, marry, like, an art investor or some bullshit. Like, come on. Marketing. Oh, hey, what's up? Sorry, I just see that someone comes in. What's up? Hey, how are you? Yeah, yeah, I guess I'll repeat myself for a minute. Yeah, like, I started watching this for, like, a minute, and it, like, it kind of fucked me up. So I had to come on here and be like, are you guys seeing this? If anyone has seen it, I don't know. But yeah, yeah, so this whole exercise is bizarre. Also, why does his hair look so fussy like that? I don't know about that. But yeah, so, like, I don't know. So when they first got together, it was like, okay, so, like, Megan Fox is being, like, crazy again. That's awesome. Like, I appreciate that. But, oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh. See? Crazy. It's underrated. But yeah, but, like, this is weird. Like, who does an interview about their relationship? Why are they doing this? This is not a normal thing. Like, you don't see this with, like, all these other... Oh, thanks! Yeah, I don't know. I know, I'm probably, like, I don't know, thinking about starting a different Instagram account. But just because, like, that one's so messy and, like, stupid and random. But thank you so much for, like, taking the time to find me on there. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I should apologize. I don't know. I don't use any, like, social media the right way. So, thank you, and I'm sorry. But yeah, no, thank you. That's awesome. Like, I'll follow you back. Well, I don't know, maybe I'll follow you from my new, like, non-random ass account. I don't know, we'll see. If I can figure out what I'm gonna... I don't know, I got a bunch of stuff I gotta do. Anyway, but thank you. Anyway, let me shut up on that. Because, yeah, boring social media stuff. But anyway, let's talk about more crazy social media stuff. So, yeah, this is, like, disturbing to my soul, this whole thing. Let's continue.
Oscar Wilde.
No. Shakespeare. Go for the butterflies. Go for it. I know you can do it.
Butterflies.
No. There's a butterfly in there, but that's not how it starts. We will all
laugh at the butterflies with gilded wings.
So close. We will all laugh at gilded butterflies. It's from King Lear by Shakespeare.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, they're like, okay, they have sex. Like, he's seen her naked and he doesn't remember what her tattoos say. That's just weird to me. I don't know. But again, like, ugh, so much of this is just so weird. Also, this is just a weird vibe. Like, this chemistry just seems off to me. Am I wrong? Let me know.
Nietzsche quote on my rib say.
We are doing AP literature class right now. That is for sure not
The
happening.
Nietzsche?
You get
The Nietzsche?
because you were close on the number. I'll give you 1/2 of a point for that, but that was rough. What's something on my bucket list?
Be abducted by a UFO.
I'll give you 2 points for that. 2
See, like,
points.
that's a crazy thing to
What was my
put in a
first
bucket
acting
list,
role?
but okay.
Oh, Mary-Kate and Ashley.
I think,
The soap opera that you won't let me watch.
if I swear to God, if you play clips from that.
Play clips!
Correct. I'll give you a point for that. Okay, what is my biggest pet peeve?
When I eat and I'm talking to you in your ear.
I don't think it has to be related to you specifically, like just what's my
Like,
favorite.
I don't know, is this supposed to be cute? I know.
Yeah, there's a name.
I'm assuming this was trending because the vibe is so fucked. I could be wrong. Like, maybe people are, like, into this and this is, like, cool, but, like, this is weird. Like, it's fucking weird. Like, just, like, I don't know. It's just weird. I don't feel like these people spend time together. I don't know.
For that, I have that. What was my favorite movie as a kid?
It's really hard to decipher when, like, we still watch kid movies all the time. Hook, You Stand By.
Okay,
Hook
Hook
is a good choice.
What's my favorite movie now?
Solid.
And if you don't know this, I'm gonna be very upset at you. What's my favorite movie now? I can't wait for it to get cold, and I'm gonna make.
No. You don't have to go there. It's like an 8-series piece. We're talking about Harry Mother Potter.
Yes.
Don't think that I'm not
which
tapped
one is
in.
my favorite?
Obviously, Prisoners of
Wait,
Azkaban.
what?
Prisoner of
Azkaban.
Yes.
Was that like a couple shake? Like a couple handshake? Do they have their own handshake? This is fucking bizarre. Okay, I don't know. This is weird, dude. This is fucking weird.
That was the best book too. Okay.
Agreed.
I'll give you 3 points for that.
Okay.
What film am I most proud of? Easy.
Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
Eating boys left and right.
Where is my favorite place to visit?
I mean, any place that was around for thousands of years, any place that has history.
Your answer is nebulous, but I will count it as mostly correct.
The straight up answer would be the forest, a tree.
Okay,
Oh,
fine,
hey,
the
Andy, what's
forest.
up?
Period.
Yeah, or
How's it
anywhere
going?
without people or buildings or electricity.
Yeah.
Where did we first meet, and what or when was our first date?
See, I don't feel like these people know each
What was
other
our
at
first
all.
date?
This is so weird.
Epic. Our first I picked you up
That was our first like out of the house date, but
And I had roses,
thousands of roses.
bedded on a hill, looking over Topanga Canyon,
It's a bad line.
and we ate sushi.
Sushi.
We shared a kiss.
Is this coached? Like, did they rehearse this?
Our first date, we breathed each other. That was what we did.
Oh my god.
And then our second date.
What did
It's
I want
weird.
to be when I was a kid?
This is fucked. I don't know. This is just a fucked vibe. I don't know.
I'm not keeping track
Do you know what I
of your
mean?
points, but you're doing good.
Oh.
What is my...
Sorry, this is the GQ interview with, I don't know, I guess the couples quiz, which apparently is a thing that GQ does now, of Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, the real big T2. Okay, sweet, awesome, yeah, I will add you in a second. But yeah, so I guess, I don't know why they're doing this, and that's kind of why I'm playing it, but it's trending, and, like, I watched a minute of it, and it just seems very off to me. So I had to come on here and be like, what do you guys think of this? Is this, like, cute behavior, or, like, am I tripping, or, like, is there some shit that's really off about this? I don't know. Like, I don't believe what they just said about the whole, like, date that they had. Like, I don't know, that just seems very strange, very unlikely to have happened. Which makes me wonder, why are they telling us shit that, like, I don't think that happened? Like, what the fuck? I don't know.
Hidden talent.
But yeah.
No, Buddha, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Okay.
It's very weird.
Only PG rated answers.
Okay. God. Well, one, your IQ is, if you were my Jeopardy partner, you would honestly win every single category. You are an almanac and encyclopedia and dictionary all in one.
Okay, so my hidden talent is that I'm not stupid. I appreciate you.
Yeah, the thumb.
I mean, if he doesn't, there's no way he doesn't
There's
know this.
a lot about her that's really weird.
Sign? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know the answer to this question. How old was I when I started modeling? Let's both guess.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
11.
12.
Okay, let's find out. What's my favorite way to decompress after a long day?
Do you want to tell them what the doctor said?
I think I got you.
Okay.
How do you even know what it is?
Because she...
Okay, look, what the doctor said was...
You are insane. Okay. We cannot say that on camera. That's your favorite way for me to decompress after a stressful day. What's my favorite way to decompress after a stressful day?
That would be tea and a foot massage and reading a book and watching a show together.
I'll be crying if you tears.
Yeah, I don't think these people spend time together. I don't think these people know each other.
Yeah, he is.
That seems...
That's like an 8 point question.
It's a weird question.
Who is
it's a weird
my best
answer.
Friend?
Me?
Beyond you.
Oh, Mindy. Ouch.
Well, you're not allowed to say you.
Oh, are you not?
No. Obviously, you're the best friend.
I'm just going
other
over
friends.
nights of you just looking at me repeatedly saying you're my best friend. It's obviously hard to...
But you know. What was my character's name in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? If you don't know that, I can't help you in life if you don't know that. Who was
I can't believe they made that movie.
She wears a yellow jacket.
Yeah, my favorite picture of you is the one where you have the ankle weights on. And
can we not? Because then we're going to show a stupid picture.
And she's outside working out, and she's like, and she's just working out, and she has like low top dunks on or something. Yeah. It's the cutest picture I've ever seen in my life, and I send her it often, and she hates me for it.
Buddha, you get 0. April O'Neil.
April. Oh.
Okay, you definitely know this one. I had a role on the show New Girl. What was my character's name?
Reagan. You killed that role, by the way. Great job. I love you on that show. So good.
Buddha, that was very good. You did very well. This is how many you got right. It's a lot. Your turn.
Okay, my love. What's my actual name?
Colson Baker.
What are my nicknames?
MGK, Machine Gun Kelly.
What are your nicknames for me?
Oh, is that what that means? Buddha, Lammy. You haven't gotten that one in a long while, but you gotta earn that one back. Cookie. Blonde Angel Baby. Am I missing any? You have endless. There's so many. Those are the main ones. Those are the most used.
Okay. Yeah, great. That was good.
Can I guess what
that hair is just so fussy. It's distracting, you know? Like...
Sword. Katana.
Blade is...
Chaos.
Blade is what...
Hectic. Violence.
Yeah, I like Blade.
Rebel.
Neville? Like long bottom?
No, like... No, but do you remember what house he was in?
Yeah, Gryffindor.
Was he?
What's my shoe size?
Okay, so you used to think it was a 13, and then you thought it was a 12, but we've settled on an 11, but I actually think that's impossible because you are 20 feet tall. Show people your feet. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. His shoes weigh 15 pounds.
We don't know my shoe size. Yeah, how many tattoos do I have?
It's literally impossible to calculate.
Well, you know what? It was impossible to calculate a Shakespeare quote.
You've tattooed on top of your tattoos. On top of your tattoos. So how many tattoos?
Like, I don't... this is weird, like... Yeah, right, Blonde Angel. Right?
I did on you. I tattooed you. The one on your hip with my initials.
I don't know.
And then the other one. Probably that one, right?
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I was trying to be nice, but, like, what?
Mostly black and bitter, but I've convinced you to take it with oat milk and a little bit of sugar. to sweeten you up in the morning.
You say that every time you offer me sugar. You go, don't you just want a little bit of sugar to sweeten you up?
Yeah, it's like Ayurvedic. You need a little bit of the sweet flavor in your body instead of putting the bitter in. You're already there. We don't need any more.
What's my favorite comic series or comic book?
Whoa, okay.
What's my favorite comic book character?
Of all time?
I don't know. This is weird. This is weird. Is this like for roles? Yeah. Like, are there...
Followed by Sandman. What's my favorite comic series?
You are him. Ice Cream Man?
Love that
one.
It's called. I love that one. What was my first ever job?
I don't know how we want to characterize your first job. Weren't you like selling your own CDs?
Damn it, Andy, I was trying to be nice.
No, but you were like selling your own CDs and stuff when you were like 13. Right?
What was my first like job that I had to have a W for? No.
There was something before that?
I worked at a grocery store.
Oh, you did tell me that, but I didn't know in the timeline if that fell before or after the airbrushing.
I was 14, I worked at Dave's Supermarket. Oh, God. What's our favorite show?
Wait, is that Bedazzled?
No, you're going to butcher this answer. What do you think?
Holy shit.
Oh, it's what I know.
Wait.
Oh, it's what I know.
Oh my god, wait, okay. One of those jewels is like flashing at me, and I didn't realize it was like bedazzled. Like, I thought they were like polka dots or something, and I don't know. Shit is whack, dude. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Okay, this is just so weird. Like, is this the new hotness? Like, is this what the kids are into? Because I don't know. Like, they seem kind of annoyed with each other. This is just weird chemistry. This is a weird vibe. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Think.
Okay, I'll just name a few of them.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Big Little Lies.
Okay.
Did I do this right? Let me check.
Is Nine Perfect Strangers.
Oh, shit.
You can't wait to see how
there we
that
go.
unfolds. And then you also loved the thread line is Nicole Kidman because you also loved The Undoing, and that show is fire. And I dare you to tell me that it wasn't. You could not wait to watch that show. You could not wait. You could not wait. But he always comes home acting like he doesn't want to see it. Like I make him watch it. But if I'm like, okay, let's not watch it. Let's do something else. Then he like finds ways to circle back and make sure that I end up putting it on because he can't stand to not know what's happening.
Someone give me their hat so I can show this cat. I can't believe that you don't recognize I'm only being a supportive TV. And knowing that you like watching the shows. And I'm like, let's watch what you like.
So what is the right answer? Like, you watch South Park and stuff like that, but that's not what you want to watch.
Yeah, right. Okay. I could be wrong. I could be like, I don't know. Maybe this is like cute couple stuff or whatever now, but like it's very like stilted. I feel like I don't feel like these people know each other.
Something to smoke, usually a lighter, although you lose those and steal everyone else's. Way too much cash.
Yeah, always, Little Miss.
Backpack. You have to take that with you everywhere you go or hide it.
It's bizarre. This is the most bizarre shit, though. Like,
you're nailing it. This is hilarious because I just know where you're gonna go with this. What does my perfect day off look like?
I just don't feel like. Is the point.
She thinks that I work all the time.
When's the last time you had a day off?
We went to Bora Bora in January.
Oh, wow.
Almost a year ago.
If I did have a day off, what would it look like?
How often do these people have days off?
That day. How long did we walk on that gravel road?
Bora, almost a year.
We ate mushrooms. Those mushrooms were very
Shit must be nice.
So your day off would be us wandering around on mushrooms?
Okay, I believe that. I believe that happened. I believe this other stuff, but like...
UFO. For real.
I know. I was there. How many albums do I have?
Yeah, how's it going, Little Miss, by the way?
Working on the 6th, about to be released.
What's the name of the 6th?
This guy with 5 albums?
Born with Horns.
See, like, how would I know that? I guess this is why they're doing it.
If I was an animal, what animal would I be? Hold on. Yeah. I got tricked into reading that question. No, check this out.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. April O'Neil on the trampoline. Let's cut to this photo. You're gonna do a split screen. Check me out. Get ready. You can literally Google any Machine Gun Kelly photo, and then if you also Google any Meerkat photo, and you split screen those.
Oh, I hate you.
You cannot tell the difference. Do that right now. No one's ever looked more like an animal.
What animal does my personality remind you of?
Sometimes like a bunny rabbit because you're sensitive and like also frightened and like fragile, and then other times like
Yeah, you know, what's so interesting, like, because she was married to Brian Austin, I mean, they had, like, kids together and stuff, right? Like, and I don't know, like, she was, you know, I guess being some, like, domestic person after being, you know, crazy, which I appreciate. I appreciate a crazy girl. I love a crazy girl. I'm a crazy girl, so I appreciate that. But, yeah, then I feel like she was in this, like, second act or whatever, where, like, she was, you know, just doing the normal whatever, and then she kind of, I don't know, I was into this, like, when they first got together, I was like, well, that's bizarre, okay, because, like, Crazy Megan's back, awesome. But yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting, like, aging and trying to stay hip, and, like, he's trying to make a name for himself, and, like, you know, looking for, like, mainstream, or, like, a mainstream level of success, right? And, like, I don't know, it's a weird vibe, okay? I don't think these people spend time together. Like, I mean, like, he couldn't remember what her tattoo said on her torso. I don't know. I mean, I just, ugh. She does. You know, Andy mentioned that too. But yeah, I know. Like, can you imagine, like, okay, so, like, you're like Megan Fox, right? And you've got it all going on, and you have, like, all this stuff that's supposed to be wherever and however, and then, like, and all anyone can talk about is your thumbs. That's so bad, but yeah. You done this here? Oh, man. I don't know. But yeah, I'm always a little bit insane. No, it's true, though. I don't know. Just, well, I feel like it's not fair, like, this year, if we're going by this year, because, like, with the pandemic, like, everyone's gone a little bit crazy. But, yeah, I just live kind of crazy, I don't know. But yeah, no, I mean, I can relate to the, yeah, I can relate. So I was into this, like, oh, Crazy Megan's back. But, I don't know. This is just super weird. The Kardashians. Mm-hmm. Oh, do they? Oh, right. No. Oh, right. Okay, I remember that. Yeah, they took that weird picture together with, like, you know, the one who's with the other one, the one from Blink-182 now, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. And again, that was, like, a weird vibe, too. This was weird shit. I don't know. It's just, like... Also, why did they did a whole... I know I keep saying this, but, like, they did a whole interview about their relationship and how they met. Like, that's weird. That's fucking weird. Like, she didn't do that with Brian Austin Green. Like, you didn't see shit like that. And him, I don't even know what the fuck. He's probably on some fucking weird shit. He's probably got some crazy, like, Drake situation with a fucking teenager or whatever. Post Malone. Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I'm not really familiar with this stuff. Like, I know he, like, or, well, not Post Malone, I mean, like, but this guy. Like, I don't know, like, I know he did that one, like, Eminem, like, diss song, but, like, aside from that, I don't really check for this dude. Like, I don't really, because, yeah, like, Post Malone's, like, yeah. I feel like that they have a similar, or, like, they kind of occupy the same music industry niche at this point right now, and, yeah. I mean, like, circles, man. Fuck this dude. Way better. Has to be.
You say dragon, but it's
I could be wrong,
but I feel like that's not who comes out in the streets. That's not a dragon. Because dragons are...
Oh, the Drake situation is, well... he has a young protege. I don't know. I guess, like, dating Rihanna broke him. And now he, like, dates teenagers. Or something, or they don't date, or they don't say they're dating, or whatever. Like, I don't know. And, like, now he, like, can't date adults or something. I don't know. He's always on some weird shit. It's in the last couple of years, anyway. Like, I don't know. He's got, like, a stable of, like, really young, like, girls. And I don't know. It's, like, kind of creepy vibes. And I wouldn't be surprised if this guy, like, has some weird shit like that, too. Because things are really messed up in entertainment. Ugh.
Very, like, regal and would be in control of their, like,
oh, yeah?
their wives.
No, I haven't heard all of her
shit,
shit, but...
person that comes out?
On your rec. I'll check it out.
What's my sun sign?
That's not an animal.
Your sun is Taurus, your moon is Pisces, your rising is Gemini, You have a stellium of planets in Pisces. Your sun is in the 12th house, which is the house that's ruled by Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces.
Perfect example.
You're very Piscean, and you're very Gemini. Very morose, and the moods
very much so.
Very intense. But I know the whole chart.
Okay, well, obviously you win this game.
Wait, okay, wait, whoa, okay. This might be the first thing that's, like, happened in this that, like, really, okay, wait, what? Just pulls that out, because, like, okay, yeah, this is the first thing that makes me think that they might actually be in some kind of relationship, because, yeah, that's, for her to know, like, his birth chart and everything, okay, alright. I guess I'll give that, but it still doesn't quite, wait, I just...
Very Gemini. Very morose.
That was, wait.
Sun is in the 12th house.
And the houses, holy shit.
You have a stellium of planets in Pisces. Your sun is in the 12th house, which is the house that's ruled by Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces. You're very Piscean, and you're very Gemini. Very morose, and the moods are very intense. But I know the whole
I'm impressed. I gotta say.
Obviously, you win this game, but we're gonna finish this out just for
that was impressive.
What's my favorite place to visit?
Yeah, I know, right?
Travis's studio. You've never been on a vacation. Your first vacation was with me.
What's my favorite show I've ever played?
No, I don't know. I bet Red Rocks is one of them.
For sure.
One of your favorite venues.
For sure.
But I don't know, like, specific shows. There's been thousands.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Cleveland hometown stuff is a go-to for me. But yeah, I mean, the Red Rocks, like, the last time I did Red Rocks, it was Juice WRLD opening. And us closing.
Well, rest in peace.
When I went on stage, I could feel my aunt's energy come down.
That was messed up.
And she was with me on that. She always dreamed that she could see me
yeah,
play there, but she passed.
I gotta say, like, yeah, like, she hasn't done shit in 10 years. You know what? She kind of reminds me, and I always felt like her vibe, she would really, and I don't know, like, okay, I feel like she could be sort of analogous to, like, they could have rehearsed it, yeah. And also, her looking up his birth chart, like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're spending time together or having an active relationship. I don't know, like, a lot of this feels coached in their answers. I don't know. I know I mentioned that before, but, like, I mean, come on, but yeah, the fact that she did put in that effort to look that stuff up and that she knows she can, like, make connections between all of these sort of different aspects of his chart, that, like, okay, that's impressive. Like, she's put in effort. Definitely. I don't know about him, but, like, she has. But, like, okay, but I always felt like, okay, like, her and, like, Brittany Murphy, like, those two, I feel like they could have been, like, or, well, I guess maybe, like, in the same, like, sense, like, I don't know. Like, this is just the vibe I get from her, and it's also the vibe that I always got from Brittany Murphy. You know, rest in peace, but, like, yeah, like, you know, there's sort of a B-movie, like, classic B-movie quality to them. Like, I feel like either one could, like, or, well, it's so weird to think that Brittany Murphy's, like, deceased. It's still, like, fucking weird to me. But, like, you know, like, like, they could be, like, queens of the indies, you know? Like, the independent movies, you know? I don't know. It's so sad, though. Like, I don't know. Ugh. I guess it's sad in different ways for both of them, but yeah, I feel like if she really embraced that and, like, the whole, like, kind of schlocky, like, Tarantino type vibe, like, I think she would kill it. Like, that could be her career. That would be, like, the shit. As if. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, you know, it kind of seems like she wants to be more than that. But, like, I just think that would be, like, a perfect lane for her. You know? Just embrace it. Like, be perfect. Like, I don't know. Just my feeling. I don't know.
Before she could, so that was cool, like, feeling her there with me.
And obviously, like, when I say that, I don't mean that, like, she could have gone for the same roles as Brittany Murphy, but I just mean, like, that sort of, like, independent movie, like, you know, like, there's something very, like, insidery about her appeal that I feel was similar with Brittany Murphy, and, like, you know, yeah, like, I don't know, you know, yeah, I don't know, yeah, I'm getting, like, a vibe, like, this is sort of, I don't know, it feels like she's, like, his mom in a way. I don't know, like, she's got this weird, like, kind of authority thing, and I don't know. Again, maybe I'm, like, just, like, reading too much into it, but, like, I mean, she's not even that much older than him. But, like, I don't know. Obviously, she's a real, like, name, and, like, she has way more clout and influence, and a far bigger reputation than him. She died in a really weird, like, situation. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, I think they said it was, like, pneumonia complications or something. I don't know. That was weird. Yeah, we should go into that. Actually, let's see if I can, like, find something that I can stream about that. I was gonna see if you guys wanted to finish the dig, because I know I kind of just didn't get around to finishing that the other night. But, yeah, she, like, died really suddenly. And I think, yeah, Rosemary, exactly. I was thinking, like, you know, like, yeah, especially with the, I guess with Tarantino type thing. Like, she could definitely, like, she could definitely be in that, like, that lane, I guess. Right. Yeah. No, I think you got it right. Yeah. Plus, I don't know. Plus, she seems more fun than Rose. Let's be real. But yeah, like, yeah, we should go into how Brittany Murphy died, because that's still, like, fucking weird. Like, it was so random. It was, like, I don't know, like, maybe about 10 years ago, a little bit more. And, like, yeah, I guess she had the flu or a cold or something, and they said it was, yeah, just like a weird, or she had like a heart condition or something. But then there was all this stuff that came out about like them getting her pills under like their names, and like her like pseudonyms and stuff, and like, yeah, it was like asthma, right? It was like some weird like respiratory thing, and then her husband died like a year later in almost the exact same way. I'm sorry, but like the mom, I'm sorry, one person dies in a strange situation in the house. It's like, okay, maybe there's like some weird mold, something, maybe they were allergic, who the hell knows? Maybe it is asthma, maybe it's like some weird heart thing that she had. But if two people die in the same way, and they're and like physiologically they're very different, and they don't have the same issues physically, and there's another person who was involved in the situation, which was her mom who lived with them. I mean, you know, common denominator. I'm sorry, shit is weird. Shit is weird. It's still weird. But yeah, sorry, we're almost done with this. There's like a couple, I don't know. But yeah, let's see if I can find something to like, yeah, hopefully this won't get me shut down.
And that's the last question.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I feel like I got them all.
I wouldn't give yourself
I feel like I
that.
got 99%.
Yeah, you got 99.
Is it a tie?
Yeah, I feel like I got 99 as well.
How many points did I get?
Baby, you get these many points.
I gave you so many bonus points.
I gave you a lot of bonus points as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, you were killing me.
Well, that was it, everyone.
I don't know.
I'm just completely exhausted from the experience.
Very stilted,
Thank
dude.
you for watching. I hope you had
Stilted.
fun.
Me too.
Do you want to tell the people what?
Hope you had fun. Like, was this fun for you guys? Like, because like usually when people are having fun and it's being recorded, like people can tell. Like, this is just a very strange. I don't know. I mean, they've been like on red carpets and stuff in front of cameras, so this shouldn't be like super bizarre. I don't know. Maybe this was an off day, but like, I don't know, it's fucking weird.
The doctor said.
Look.
Oh, I don't know.
The doctor said.
Are his ears
Every
crooked?
day, Megan has to.
Seriously, are his ears crooked? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, wild. But yeah, I don't know. Like, is there a good, like, I don't know. Let's see if we can do, wait, I'll pull this over here while I try to find, like, something kind of cool. Or interesting, anyway. Yeah, I feel like there's been, like, more interest in the Brittany Murphy thing lately. I don't know, maybe it's just, like, a new generation coming up or whatever, but, I feel like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like we all forget how bizarre that was. But we really shouldn't. Yeah, let's see. Whoa, this is from a day ago. Okay, wait, what? Disturbing. Oh, okay.
Made it big in Hollywood when she starred in the
Wait, let me,
1995 cult classic.
Okay, let's see if this is if this is, like, interesting. If this sucks, then we can just, like, not, you know, just ignore it. But, yeah, let's see if we can do this. Okay. Hello? Okay.
Clueless. It seemed inevitable that she would become a bona fide star as she later starred in popular films including 8 Mile, Girl Interrupted, and Uptown
Oh my god, she was so good in that.
By 2009, though, Murphy's career had hit a dead end, supposedly due to rumors of drug use and tardiness. According to
Girl Interrupted, she
Murphy was also a caretaker for her mother Sharon and husband Simon Monjack, who both had health issues. They all lived together in a Los Angeles mansion previously owned by Britney Spears, and Murphy began to star in low-budget films to pay the bills. In November of 2009, Murphy, Monjack, and her mother went to Puerto Rico so she could shoot one of these low-budget projects.
I have no idea.
During their stay, her husband and mother ended up sick with staphylococcus. By the time they returned home, Murphy had also
thanks, E-Boy. How are you?
How's it going? For 6 weeks, but refused to get medical attention. A major factor that would later be relayed countless times as news of her death came to light. On December 20th, 2009,
yeah, do you remember this?
Murphy collapsed in her bedroom. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but it was too late.
Yeah.
Murphy was only 32, leaving
like she was so good in that.
Fans reeling while they searched for answers. Over a decade later, Murphy's death remains unsettling, and her mother refuses to speak publicly about her death. The Los Angeles County coroner later found
Abe is clued in,
like,
Abe's clued in on everything. Like, Abe is, yeah. He follows the best people, what can I say? Yeah, I know, wild, right? Let's see, yeah, are you on Discord, Abe? Because I have things set up, like, I'm trying to invite you on panel if you want to, but, like, I have this set up so that, like, people on, like, or people, like, join Discord and they can get on here easily, and then it's, like, I don't know, less confusing with the fucking YouTube stuff. If not, that's cool, but if you're into it, or, you know what, let me pull up the link for that anyway. Oh, thanks, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I know you're making the rounds. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're just going into the like weirdo, like just weird situations and like Hollywood stuff, I guess. Or I guess we're segueing into that. Thanks, Little Miss. Well, I'm sure he's flattered to hear that. Wagon? Wait, who? I don't know. I don't know anything about anything, but like who's Wagon? What? Or what? What? Is that someone new? Well, I guess probably not new, but like new to me. I don't know. Or wait, am I misinterpreting this? Sorry. Anyway, I'll play this anyway as we go.
Result of pneumonia, anemia, and a drug overdose from both prescription and over-the-counter medication. No illegal drugs were found in her system. Her autopsy also found that although she had diabetes,
awesome.
she
All right, let me
good health. On the day she died, she had taken an anti-seizure medication, an antidepressant, an inflammatory drug, beta blockers, cough medicine, nasal spray, and something for her menstrual pain. It was also concluded that her menstrual cycle had caused the onset of anemia. In addition, an article from the Mirror states that her red blood count was far too low, leaving her vulnerable to infection. On the days leading to her death, she had trouble breathing. Her lungs were filling with liquid, and her lips were turning blue. The coroner concluded that if Murphy had gone to the doctor, her death could have been prevented. In other words, Murphy's death was ruled completely accidental. It was said that Murphy and Simon Monjack had become increasingly paranoid of the paparazzi and did not seek medical attention for fear of inciting media attention. 2 days before her death, Murphy finally scheduled a doctor's appointment, but she never made it. Per USA Today, family and friends of Murphy and Monjack believe that although her husband didn't kill her, he did directly contribute to her death.
I woke up the morning after my wife died and there was a thing saying murderer.
If you want, feel free. If not, that's alright too.
Shockingly, Simon Monjack died from pneumonia and anemia 5 months later on May 23rd, 2010, in the same bedroom as Murphy. Unsurprisingly, their near identical deaths led to even more questions. Several theories have arisen about the cause of their deaths, including toxic mold and murder. Murphy's own father believed she was poisoned, although this has never been proven. Ultimately, those who knew the couple blame Monjack for Murphy's demise by possibly withholding medical attention until it was too late. According to USA Today, Monjack was incredibly controlling. He would drive Murphy to work, take up all of her free time, and eventually began to isolate her. No one could contact her directly. Disturbingly, a director from one of Murphy's last films stated that she did not have direct access to her email address or phone. It appears that Monjack wanted complete dominance over Murphy.
Yeah, it's super weird, right?
To swirl that his presence made Murphy incredibly difficult to work with. Unsurprisingly, many have blamed Monjack for Murphy's inability to seek appropriate medical attention in time to save her life. Whether or not that's true will likely never be definitively proven.
That was super weird.
But those who knew Murphy and Monjack have drawn their own conclusions. If you or someone you know is dealing with domestic abuse, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. You can also find more information, resources, and support at their website.
Okay, 1 sec. Just trying to add a source in here real fast. Alright. Oh shit, wait. Okay. Alright, I think, okay, let me just get, okay, that's annoying. Alright. Alright. Here, and the something blocked. I don't know. Only like a couple people, I think. Or in the chat anyway. Like, there are more people watching, but I know they do that on the replay, so it's like, they don't show up on live watching, but I don't know. Who knows? Probably me blocked too. Who knows? But okay, alright, what am I doing? Wait, sorry, I just had a brain fart. Okay. Yeah, there was like, okay, so there were like weird, how do we say it? Like, yeah, weird rumors about that, because like apparently that guy she married was like some weird like wannabe producer or something, but it never really happened for him, and then he hooked up with her and like no one had ever heard of the guy before, and it was like super weird. Yeah, wild. Let's see. It's like 2 minutes long. Oh god, well here's a weird fucking, oh man. Alright, this is like, oh man, I totally forgot about this. Okay, this dude, he went on Larry King, and oh my god, you know what, let me just put this here, because this was fucking weird. Again, a very fucked vibe, okay? Like, oh man. Yeah, 1 sec, let me just pop that out, and okay, and here's the mom, right? Okay. I'm fucked. This is like from when it happened.
How are you doing?
My phone, I don't know. That's a good question. Sorry.
I don't think I
I'm trying to do all this at the same time and also get
wake up
like
in the morning,
like you in here if you want to come in.
There's not enough time.
Oh, okay. I will. 1 second.
Bad when you wake up and I reach out to touch or hold my wife, and she isn't there. Were you there when they said you didn't make it?
Let's see.
3 people came in. Shanna and I were holding each other, and they let us know at the same time that they.
Oh wait, I just popped it out. 1 second. Sorry. This is hard.
That you saw the light go out.
Wait, what? Whoa, what? Oh, okay. Whoa. Weird. I thought this was gonna be the whole interview. Oh, hey Jill, how are you? Yeah, I know, right? It's a celebrity. Ape. Yeah, sorry, one sec. Let me just, what am I doing here? How do I invite? Okay. Oh my god, what a mess. Yeah, what? Yeah, remember this? What? Hello. Alright, there we go. Okay. Okay, it says I just waved at you in Discord, so yeah, if you wanna... Oh, wait, that's not right. Shit. God damn it. Or, oh, gee, wait, what? I'm all over the place. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out Discord myself. I'm still trying to figure out all this shit, dude. Man. No, not... Ugh, why is it... That's weird. It should have... Okay. Why is Firefox doing this? Or is this some weird, like... I don't know. Reconnect. Yeah, that's weird. Rules, etc. Wait, so, but then it should be able to let me... Why is it not? Okay, alright. Invite, alright. Alright, so I think if I'm doing this right, like... Okay, I should be able to, like, post this... Did I do that right? I don't even know. Oh, hey, Shauna's on. I didn't even see that. Alright, so I put this in Discord. There's a link that should say panel. Join if you want to. I don't know. Man. Yeah, that's weird. Why does it do that? Oh, does it, like, wait, did the aspect ratio change if I do this? I was trying to change that earlier. I don't know. Oh, okay. Alright. Oh, thanks, Lomas. Yeah, sorry, this is like, yeah, this is my new, like, or, I don't know, gaming ability, or, what am I trying to say? A new computer that's, like, on Windows, and it's very weird to me now, trying to set it all up right. It's just so much more intuitive, I guess, on the Mac, but, I mean, I don't know. Different tools for different jobs, right? Fingers crossed. Okay, okay. Okay, I think I have that right. But thank you, I appreciate the encouragement. This, that, okay. Alright. I think I have this right. Oh, wait, you know what? Wait, I got it. Okay. Right, okay. And then to add it as a source here, I like... Okay. 1 second here. Done. Okay. That should work. Fingers crossed. But if not, then I guess, like, you know. I don't know. Who even knows? Also, the chat box. I just noticed the chat box is, like, it should be, like, right here, what you guys are saying. But we can't. The hell? Yeah, shit, me too. Oh, wait, I have one right here. Alright, yeah, how are you, Jill, by the way? It's been a while. How's it going? How are things over in the Boit-ish section? I know, you still over there? It's been forever. But thank you for popping in and saying hi, by the way. Oh, whoa. Sorry. Okay, so if I minimize it, it doesn't go away, so I can, like, I guess also play things in the background, hopefully, I guess, maybe. Okay, Wait, what was I doing? Man. Seriously, I don't know how you guys put up with me. I swear. Alright. Alright. Okay, alright. Oh no, not that. Dur. Yeah, let's see, like, okay. Let's see if I can see, like, you know what, actually, let's see if I can, like, pull up that, yeah, interview of, like, the husband and the mom, because it was fucking weird, dude. And, I mean, again, fucked vibes. Super weird. And it was like Larry King, I think, yeah. Oh god, they have the 911 call. I don't know, that's just weird. See, this is a good title. The Missing Pieces of the Brittany Murphy Story. I've not seen that, though. I'm always a little, come over feet. Oh, yeah, probably. I don't know. I feel like so out of place there. Like, I don't know. I don't know any, like, new thing that's happening. You gotta tell me. Shit, you can come on panel if you want. I mean, I don't know if you're on Discord, that would make it, like, super easy. But, yeah, because I have a Discord now. Like, because I can, like, throw watch parties and stuff, and it's fun. It's a shit show nowadays. You know, always, though. A lot of weed, of course. Nice. Always. Man. See, like, I could not handle, like, smoking weed with any regularity. Like, I'm confused enough, like, shit, man, I'd be a total fucking mess. So I'm still a total fucking mess, but you know, even more so. But, yeah, what's the new, what's the goss? What's the tea? Oh, nothing, just me, scrolling through stuff, trying to find a good, like, well, trying to find the interview with, Brittany Murphy's husband and her mom, but I can't find that, but I don't know. See, now I'm curious, I want to watch this, but I'm a little bit worried. There's always a question of, like, is this gonna, like, veer off into some crazy shit? Should I, like, show it on here? Like, there's always that question, you know? I don't know. Oh, but wait, I was gonna look up, yeah, what was that, oh shit, what was it? Yeah, Teary Tyler, I have to look this up. If it's about a cult, like, I'm already into it. Oh, wow. Oh my god, wait. Oh my god, yeah, no, I read this interview, or not interview, this, like, long, form story from Vanity Fair, yeah, who brainwashed an entire aristocratic family. Yeah, no, I remember that! Like, I remember reading all about that. That was so crazy. Like, you said that they had, like, there was, like, a secret code that she had, memorized, and he, like, put them in their house together and stuff, and, like, yeah, I totally fucking remember that. Holy shit, yeah, wild. I just get kicked for trolling. Oh. Yeah, it happens. Don't worry about it. Oh, no, but yeah, you can join. Yeah, I thought I put the link. It's okay. You can be a troll and come on, just don't, you know. Just don't be terrible, I guess. But yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah. Abe, chat as a start. Oh. Yeah, ooh, sorry. It's nuts. Yeah, totally. I remember that story. Like, yeah, he had the whole family. Like, and like, what was it? Like, he brainwashed like their mom to like think that she knew some secret code that would unlock like fortunes or like save the world from some Illuminati type. There was like a whole thing. Like, yeah, I remember that. That's so wild. Like, yeah, I was thinking about the other day. It's yeah, weird that you mentioned that, but yeah, it's all good. Oh wait, sorry. If you, yeah, you can join the Discord. Let me go grab the link again. I thought I put this here, but yeah, no. I mean, it is like, you know, if you guys want like all kinds of stuff, like, or you want to see like, I don't know, what I'm planning to talk about on here. Usually, that's where you would go. Where is it now? Okay, all right, here we go. All right, I can't do it on. I have to do this here. Oh man, it's very weird. Yeah, right. Didn't they? Okay, if you want to join, feel free to hit that link. Yeah, like yeah, it was like they weren't like dumb people. Like yeah, like I remember this, right? Yeah, aristocrats and demons, Vanity Fair. Persuaded they held the key. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh no, shut up. No, I don't pop-ups. Oh my god, so annoying. Right. It was like persuaded they held the key to great treasure and were targets of a Masonic plot. That's what it was. Yeah, members of the aristocratic de Vedrine family turned over their lives, fortune, and ancestral chateau to shadowy Grandmaster. Then came captivity and torture and a bizarre escape. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, this was a good one. Oh my god. This lead. We know you know the number. You have to tell us. Why won't you tell us? The woman is 58 years old. Not long ago, she was the mistress of a chateau near Bordeaux. Elegant, soignée, an aristocrat. Now she is fed a single meal each day. She is not allowed to bathe or use the bathroom. She is drugged and sometimes she is beaten. Dark shit. The captors include members of her own family. Oh, yeah? Oh, sweet. Oh, that's awesome. Like, yeah. I'll have to find that if I can. Or if it, I don't know. I have to, like, is it okay to do that here? Is it okay to, like, play other people's? I don't even know. I figured GQ is probably not gonna, like, you know, slag my shit for reposting something from their thing, but, yeah. Here's an ID thing, investigation, discovery, and they do like everything, right? So could probably do that. I think. But yeah, if you have like a link to that, or if you like know where I can find that, well, obviously on YouTube, right? But yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. Yeah, oh man, I remember all of that. Like, let's see. You know what I'm saying? Why can I not, like, remember any of this shit? Wait one sec. Durr. Yeah, silly. Let's see. The Cult of Terry Tilly. Is that it? Oki's Weird Stories? I should subscribe to this. Because that's, yeah, that's pretty cool. I can, as long as you talk about it. Okay, alright. And I hope it doesn't, like, step on people, like, just in general. Like, I'm always worried about, like, I don't know, pissing people off by, like, just, you know, perceived potential disrespect. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, I promise. Okay. But I'm gonna take your word for it. Because I feel like you're a trustworthy individual. So, if this gets flagged, then I don't know what to say. Sorry. Okay, let's do that. It looks a bit better. Oh, okay. All right, give it a shot. Wild. Thank you, by the way.
In the early 2000s, the French press began circulating an unbelievable story dubbed The Recluses of Montflanquin. It concerned 11 members of a wealthy family known as the Vedrines, who suddenly locked themselves inside of their home in an act of self-imposed isolation. The French newspaper Le Monde was the first to break the story with an article titled "The Mystery of Montflanquin."
I'm with you on that, though. I mean, I'm okay with disrespecting me, but everyone else,
themselves, the Vedrines were a well-liked and well-respected family in the village who had since become known as the local crackpots. The Vidrines later sued the journalist who wrote the article for an invasion of privacy and won.
Oh.
Those who knew the family said they started to notice their radical shift in behavior.
I mean, I don't know how much
2001. Around that
anything
time, 11
I share counts as sharing, but you know. Oh, thank you, Andy.
Relatives,
that's sweet of you.
As well as even their own spouses and
Thanks.
children. They accused everyone outside of their tight-knit group of secretly being Freemasons who intended to harm them and even outright kill them. On January 4th of 2002, a neighbor visited them to see what was wrong. She told Lamond that she peered through the window and saw that, quote, they were all there, sitting motionless in the dark. The little visible light was from the dim glow of their Christmas tree. Anyone who tried to step onto their property, even the mailman, wouldn't be allowed past the gates. The family would immediately shout and warn them off. Sometimes visitors would be attacked. The question of what happened to the Vidrines, what led to their collective insanity, doesn't have any simple answers. But one thing is clear. The Vidrines were a perfectly normal family until a Rasputin-like con man named Terry Tilley stepped into their lives.
Is that a little bit better, maybe? Hopefully. Oh, wow. He did a family. Damn.
The Vidrines are an old family, an aristocratic family. Descending from a line of Protestant country landowners, their history in the bucolic village of Montflanquin stems back to the 17th century during King Louis XIV's reign. The family owned a summer house in Montflanquin called Chateau Martel. Chateau Martel sat perched on a hill overlooking their land, spanning 50 hectares. There's a sense of timelessness to their chateau and Montflanquin as a whole.
So that's old money.
Winding arcades and 14th century medieval buildings looks like something out of a fairy tale. So it's no wonder why it's known as one of the most beautiful and well-preserved medieval Bastille towns in all of France. A tight-knit clan, the Vidrines often spent their summers together at Chateau Martel. Their children, who were all close in age, grew up riding bikes along the countryside, swimming in the lakes,
what, this guy?
and enjoying the idyllic paradise that is Montflanquin.
Or Andy,
they lived quiet lives of privilege.
Abe, or
to their neighbors, they were a well-respected family of high standing who were known to organize village festivals and elaborate parties. The Vidrines were not, as one might imagine, an exorbitantly wealthy family. Instead, they were only aristocrats by name, meaning they still had to work. For example, Charles Henri de Vidrine was a gynecologist and obstetrician, as well as a former political candidate.
I remember
Elaine
this,
was the director of a Paris-based
there were like
school. And their eldest
sort
brother,
of a
Philippe de Vitrine,
in
was
name
a civil engineer
nobility,
for Shell Oil.
but
this story begins during the summer of 1997 when Elaine first met Terry.
Oh, that's
Tilley.
awesome! Like, I didn't realize that you like streamed. How did I not know that? Like, oh, do you have Little Miss SDFU blocked? Because I think she might be talking, or I might be talking about you, and she might be talking about you. He said that you must have her blocked again, but I don't know. So I guess so. Alright, yeah. And she says, yeah, Andy, okay. Is there beef here? Also, how do I not like know that you stream and stuff? But, sorry, yeah, I am out of the loop on all of this, but yeah, no, like, right? I don't know, it's fun. Usually it's, I feel like, I don't know, since the pandemic started, like, I just, now that I'm back, like, doing these again, randomly, I don't know, just been, like, really kind of stripped down and chill, so, I don't know, so much has changed in the world from, like, when I used to do these every week, so, Fred has me blocked. Fred? Andy, you're, like, on some next level. Wait, Fred, like from, like, OG, like, YouTube Fred? Because if so, like, damn. I'm impressed. Well, clearly, Lil Miss. You must be,
During
right?
this time, Ghislaine was stressed and in over her head. A year earlier, she was part of a group of parents who took over their children's school when it was teetering on bankruptcy and was set to shut down.
I remember
in the
this.
middle of the
Okay.
school year. They all had children who were close to finishing their studies at the school, so they figured that as long as they can keep it afloat until summer, their children could at least finish the term. Leading them was a lawyer named Vincent David, who helped them win their case against the school staff. After a victory in court over teachers vying for the same position, Ghislaine was appointed a role as the school's director. However, the elation of this small victory over the teachers did not last, as there was still a lot to be done to keep the school from financial collapse.
Oh, okay.
The school's myriad issues were as follows.
Well, then that makes way more sense, Lomas.
Its registration was plummeting, its computer system was obsolete, and it was in desperate need of maintenance. It was through
he says that you have him
Elaine
blocked.
First met Terry Tilly.
But then,
isn't that
what a troll would say?
Recommended Tilly's company for the job. Tilly, being a plain-looking, short-statured man, didn't leave a lasting impression at first. However, as time went on, Ghislaine found herself more drawn to him. And that was because he made himself indispensable to her. Whenever a setback took place, Tilly was there to fix it. For example, when she mentioned in passing that the school's computer system needed to be replaced, Tilly had it sorted out.
You know, I always have fun on Kevin's, like, channel. He's on there all the time. Like, I don't know how he was on there for, like, 18 hours, right? Wild. Did it all by phone. Oh. That's wild. Like, see, next level kind of shit. But yeah, thank you so much, Nat. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Like, man. I'm always impressed with, like, his whole setup, everything he has going. But thank you, yeah. I don't know, I was thinking, like after that stream, like, why did I go off onto, like, the nuclear Boy Scout? I'm not sure, but something reminded me of it, and I don't know. It's the ADD, I guess. Like, I just have to, like, be like, oh my god, have you guys heard about blah, blah, blah? Oh my god, let me show you this thing. Like, yeah, that's why I stream. I don't know, maybe that's what it is. But yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you, like, watching and enjoying, and yeah, I mean, here we go. Back to the intrigue of blocking.
By the next day. Gradually, she began to trust and depend on him as a highly competent fixer of her problems. She was also taken in by his elusiveness. She wondered who this man was who she found to be discreet, eternally busy, and one step ahead of everybody else. He was always dressed fashionably, and always moving quickly as if he had many appointments to attend to. Terry Tilly was a complete mystery to her. So she asked her lawyer, Vincent David, about him.
You're too
Vincent
kind.
Told her
Thank
that
you.
Tilly was a highly connected man who owned 10 companies and who knew some very powerful people. When she asked him why such an influential person would spend his time helping a failing school, Vincent David told her that Tilly had taken an interest because he saw its potential. He added that Tilly was a trustworthy and philanthropic
that is
person,
really sweet.
and
Thank
what
you.
Vincent David said next would add an extra layer to
I
Tilly's
try. I
mystique.
don't know.
According to him, Tilly was so highly connected to influential people that the reason they were able to take over the school rather than the teachers was because Tilly intervened. After
There's drama in the
that,
chat.
Ghislaine began to see
I'm here
Tilly
for it.
as a possessor of extraordinary powers, a man with enough say to influence even court proceedings. At the time, Ghislaine's son, Francois, had been facing difficulties in school, and Tilly was there to take the depressed and aimless boy under his wing in the form of an internship. He also listened to his problems and gave him advice. Ghislaine was thrilled that her underachieving son had Tilly as a mentor, and she believed that the bond her son had been forming with Tilly would bode well for his future. But what she didn't know at the time was that Tilly would go on to dominate her and her family's lives for the next 12 years.
It's so sad to, like,
By the beginning of 1999...
I don't know, like, you think, like, this is a big, powerful family, but, like, you know, they have very human, like, foibles and very, like, oh, what? What podcast? What? Is Kev doing a podcast? Like, officially, for real? Because, because he should. Like, I could totally, like, I would listen, I would subscribe, absolutely. Shit. Yeah, shit, I'm already subscribed. What am I talking about? But, no, thank you so much. That's really nice. Like, I appreciate it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I always, like, all this. I know, I'm into, like, you know, researching a bunch of weird stuff. So when other people get some enjoyment out of that, I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah. Oh, he's deleting. I guess he figured out maybe he doesn't have people out. I don't know. But yeah, like, it's so sad to, like, so this woman, like, ugh, like, was just really trying to get her son to have some kind of direction in life. It's so sad, you know? He's not, oh no. Really? Wild. Yeah, he was on for like 18 hours. Like, I don't know. Like, man. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know, like, his brain must, like, just be able to, like, handle, keeping track, like, 6-7 different things happening on his computer and, like, on his phone, and, like, all this stuff at the same time. It's really wild. Like, amazing. Shout out to Kev. And shout out to Nat.
They hired him full-time. It was her lawyer, Vincent David, who persuaded Glenn
But yeah, I don't know,
to
I
bring
do
him
feel
on
sad
board
for this
in an official capacity.
family, like,
And in a little over a year, he helped the dwindling school increase its enrollment. First, he got her to rename the school
like
from a Fem
Todos.
Secretary to IFSAD, Institution for the Formation of Superior Directorial Assistants. Along with the name change would be a change in direction, one that sought to attract international students, especially from China. In her memoir titled Diabolique, Elaine writes, "With Tilly's help, I'm certain that we will succeed and become
yeah,
the
no,
great
he's like the
international
champion of it.
academy we dream of." And what psychological
I just show up for a
comfort
little bit and then
the
I
man
have
who
to take a nap.
understands me so well, who knows how to appease and advise me, is now with us, in our team. I could not have imagined a more promising solution. By this
God,
point,
that's so
Elaine no longer
sad,
made
you know?
any decisions concerning the school without first consulting Tilly, believing that her decision-making alone was insufficient. This points to something subtle but crucial to Tilly's hold on her. By leaving her decision-making up to him, it shows that from very early on, she was willing to give up her autonomy, her agency, and was trusting that he wouldn't abuse such a one-sided power dynamic. Spoilers, he did. Soon his salary was more than double hers, and he was being given bonuses that no other staff member was entitled to. Although his role was officially as just an assistant, he was effectively running the school and being paid the highest salary. This also left the school's coffers open for him to systematically bilk from until there was nothing left.
Right. I remember that.
With Elaine, Tilly played a long con. He spent 3 years becoming her trusted friend before making any major moves. In
Sorry,
Elaine,
talking to me
Tilly
or
had found
Andy?
the perfect mark. Like most victims of con artists and cult manipulation, she was vulnerable and in a stressful, transitory period of her life. As Stephen Hassan, one of the leading experts on the topic of destructive cults, writes,
I'm glad he points that out because, like, you see that a lot with, like, these sorts of situations where people, like, ingratiate themselves. It's people who are, like, you know, they're not sure what to do or, like, what their next move should be. And, you know, and you know, you add that in with, like, you know, the fact that this guy was, like, sort of taking her wayward son under his wing, and it's like, yeah, and then, like, you know, he was good at advising her through all this stuff, and it's like, you know, yeah, it's sad. Like, very naive people.
quote, "The stress is often due to some kind of major transition, moving to a new town, starting a new job, breaking off a relationship, experiencing
the school
financial
too,
instability,
like,
or losing a loved one. People in such situations tend to have defense mechanisms that are overloaded or weakened. If they don't know how to spot and avoid destructive cults, they are easy prey. Ghislaine fit this profile perfectly. She was stressed from running a school that was nearly...
Especially if, like, you know, like, having this sort of, like, family money and not, like, having many, like, street smarts, being a little bit sheltered, like, yeah, that would, you know, kind of be a sitting duck kind of situation. Yeah.
Bankrupt. She was grieving the recent deaths of her father and her older sister. That same year, her husband, Jean Marchand, had his magazine go bankrupt. As a result, he had his own problems, giving him a great deal of stress, and he wasn't always there to listen to her. The distance she was experiencing in her marriage left her wanting for someone to lean on. Then Tilly arrived at the perfect moment to support her. He listened to her, offered solutions to her problems, mentored her son, Francois, and promised her a brighter future for her failing school. Whenever she confided in Tilly, their dynamic was analogous to a patient bearing her soul to a therapist. And just like a therapist, Tilly never really shared anything about himself. Instead, he just listened. She'd share liberally, completely unaware that he was listening, not out of concern, but instead to size up his prey. He was probing her for her weaknesses, her vulnerabilities, and her idiosyncrasies.
Why the spider?
And he did this all so he could better ensnare her. She was so seduced by his concern for her school and personal life that she shared everything without thinking. As she told him about her family, their conflicts, disagreements,
what, on my channel? Don't block him here.
Values, and their
He's welcome.
System, Tilly took mental notes and didn't forget a single word. He probed her for details. Details he would later use to manipulate her and 10 other members of her family. This is also how Tilly came to know of the properties that her family owned, as well as the bigger picture of their lives. August 2000. Terry Tilly meets the family. Like most summers, the family spent it together at Chateau Martel. Unlike most summers, Ghislaine de Vidrine had invited an enigmatic man to spend it with them,
chat's open.
named Terry Tilly.
It's anyone
Inside
can
the
come
walls
in
of the
and
manor,
talk.
Tilly's pending arrival was
It's
one
viewer's
thing on
choice. That's why it's
everybody's
viewer's
mind.
choice. Anyone can come talk. We can talk about whatever. Like,
Terry Tilly was an extremely intelligent and highly influential man who rubbed shoulders with those belonging to the upper echelon of society. He knew former presidents, business leaders, and possessed an address book enviable by the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, I mean, they said that he was friends with her for like 3 years before he made any major changes. Absolutely.
Therefore,
like,
when Terry Tilly arrived for dinner that night, members of the Vidrine's clan had already been primed to be quickly taken in by him. Sat at the head of the table.
Oh, Stephen Hassan? Yeah, he's good. Like, I mean, I've read a bunch of stuff. I'm a fan of that.
Whatever the topic of discussion,
yeah, thank you.
Tilly had something insightful to say.
Oh yeah, well, feel free to.
He seemed to possess an expertise
your account. Do what you do.
He spoke with familiarity about
yeah, thank you for not.
With Ghislaine's nephew, Vidrine,
and yeah,
who was an engineer at Microsoft.
Okay.
He imparted legal advice to another family member, warning them that their property business was almost certainly illegal. With Charles Henri's son, Guillaume, he used, quote, terminology that revealed a knowledge of information technology completely inaccessible to the general public. Tilly spent the entire month of August staying in a rental house close by to the Vidrine Chateau. He visited them every day and had long one-on-one chats with family members. One-on-one was Tilly's preferred method
I bet I could
of
get that on Audible.
He was like a chameleon adjusting himself to match his interlocutors. In order
Prime
to better
thing
win
for
their favor. With
a little
Philippe,
more time,
he used his
so.
background as a civil engineer and former member.
You know what? Maybe like I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can find that book, The Cult of Trump, on Audible, and if I can, then maybe I'll do like a thing where I share it on the Discord, like an audio thing, and people can like discuss it maybe, because you can stream audio on there pretty easily, so. You know, maybe do like a, more like regular thing where we have like listening parties, I guess, maybe? I don't know, I'm gonna look that up. Thank you for telling me.
Member of the French army to flatter him. He would say things like, Philippe, you are in Algeria. You've been under fire. You're the only one who understands what I'm talking about. And, Philippe, you should be the president of Shell Oil. Philippe later told Ghislaine of his admiration for Tilly, calling him a remarkable man marked by respect for tradition, yet carrying a vision for the future of humanity. What would impress them most about Tilly was the influence he seemed to wield over courts and government agencies. It appeared to them that he was able to step in and help them overcome impossible battles, which they were sure they had already lost. One such case occurred when Ghislaine advised her brother, Charles Henri, to seek counsel from Tilly about the family's ongoing legal problems associated with the sale of one of their properties in La Case, which had severe structural
if that's interesting
damage.
to you at all, you can join the Discord right here.
Sold them the home while concealing its damage. The case was handed over to Vincent David, with Tilly playing an advisory role. Soon, the Vidrines learned that the legal suit against them had been dropped, a development which they attributed to Thierry Tilly. Another example of Tilly demonstrating his sway over official matters occurred when the music festival, which Ghislaine organized annually, was put under review due to matters concerning grants. Ghislaine worked tirelessly over the next few days, going through the festival's books and putting together a report. Just when she was about to hand it in, Tilly stopped her, telling her that he will speak to them on her behalf. An hour later, he returned, telling her that everything was in order and that she wouldn't have to pay a cent. After winning over the rest of Ghislaine's family, he offered them financial advice. He suggested that they allow him to review their portfolios to see if their financial investments were in the right place. Upon review, he told them that they weren't. He then implied that their financial advisors were not dependable. Tilly claimed that he could vastly increase the value of their capital if they entrust their investments with his company called Presswell Limited.
Wait, this is similar to like what Jeffrey Epstein did. Like, I don't know if people know about that. Like, the way that he would ingratiate himself with like a lot of really incredibly rich people, like billionaires, all these people, very influential. He would do like a similar financial thing, where like I don't know, he worked for like Bear Stearns or something, or like I don't know, some Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, one of those fucking companies I can never remember. But like as a banker or a trader, I think maybe. And so he had like some financial savvy. And he would parlay that, and he would get their like he would get access to their accounts and like bank accounts, all this kind of stuff, and like he would convince them that it was so messed up and that people were taking advantage of their money. And these are people like they have so much money that they can't keep track of it, so they actually have to like employ people to keep track of their money and like their investments and all of that. And like he would say like, oh, you're getting ripped off and all this stuff. And that's how they would eventually come to trust him enough to give him power of attorney over them. I mean, like Leslie Wexner, like he gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney over him. So like, I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy. But like, apparently he did this to quite a few people, and he never got caught because people, you know, there are quite a few different questions about that. Yeah, Bernie Madoff, very similar. Yeah, yeah, like, again, like, trading on that sort of, like, you know, oh, well, I know all the secrets. If you let me, like, you give me, like, access to your money, I'll take way better care. I'll like, yeah, you'll get a way better return with me. Like, I'll take care of your money. All these people are messing it up. So, like, this is very similar to that. Like, preying on these people, like, and their, like, paranoia about their finances. It's crazy. That's wild. Like, that's so weird. Like, that's like a common thread between a lot of these types of people. It's wild. You know,
Tilly advised them that he could get them
crazy.
11 to 14% return on their investments.
There you go.
Month, which he claimed to be able to do because of his insider knowledge of world markets. After a month, somehow
Madoff. Holy
Going
shit.
forward, he became a daily fixture in their lives. He wined and dined them at expensive restaurants in Paris and London. He let Guillaume, Charles Henri's son, stay in his condo in the center of Manhattan, while Guillaume was in New York for an internship. There, he introduced the young man to a real estate billionaire named Charles F., who owned some 20 high-rise buildings in Manhattan and was one of the most influential property developers in New York. Tilly seduced them with the promise of money, investments, connections, and of an easy gain for themselves and for their children. They were all thrilled by the idea that a man of his stature and prominence had become their own personal confidant and close friend, which is perhaps why, in their intoxicated glow, they accepted the insane shit that he told them next. Brace yourself, because what I'm about to say is a lot to take in. He told the family about a conspiracy targeting them. He said that he was a member of a secret governmental organization whose mission was to guarantee balance in the world by fighting against all forms of corruption. He told them that he was actually a secret agent sent to protect them from enemies targeting them. According to him, his secret society, an offshoot of the Knights of the Round Table, sought out great and deserving families in order to ensure their survival by protecting them from their enemies. He told them that Freemasons and Rosicrucians were everywhere. He told them to beware of homosexuals and Jews. He said that it was their family's destiny to stand up for good against evil, as their ancestors had done during the reign of Louis XIV in resisting Catholic oppression. He told them that enemies wanted to ruin their family, to destroy them, and to make them disappear because they, the Vitrines, were a living memory of what nobility used to mean, and that they reflected the greatness of what France once was. He told them that their family was what...
Okay, there's a lot, like, wow. There's a lot there. Holy shit. Okay. Alright. Okay. So, wow. Okay. Yeah, also, like, weird that, yeah, this guy mentioned, I guess I should have picked up on that quicker, that this is a Protestant family, because, like, France is a very Catholic country. Like, traditionally. Like, very much so. So it's also very interesting that, like, that this guy picked up on that, and yeah, and like Jesus, and like and again, this appeal to ego of like what their family represented, and also going to the like, okay, the Freemasons and the like Rosicrucians. That's like, yeah, that's one that you don't really hear much about. That's like, what is that, like Nasara kind of? I mean, it's totally different, but in similar in the way that, like, you know, these conspiracy theories, they reemerge, they fall out of favor. People go into, like, you know, they say that it's you know, the Illuminati a few years ago. Now it's like more QAnon kind of stuff, but it's all kind of like a similar thread. So that, but like, okay, so they took all of that. Oh, yay. Made up. Glad to see it. Oh. That's what this channel's all about. Making up. Yeah, and so, like, yeah, there's a lot. And it seems, like, really crazy that they believed this, but yeah, but, like, if you think about the fact that they had already hooked them up with this guy, and also this guy was like a whiz financially, apparently. But I have to say, I wonder how accurate that was, like, when that guy said, like, that apparently he made good on this promise, right? Yeah, the Templars. There you go. Yeah, like, I mean, that didn't, yeah. Like, that's a similar kind of, you know, Knights of, yeah. Knights of, wait, which Knights did he mention? But like, yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, that was kind of left out from that. Again, just like very random kind of choices. But yeah, so man, there's a lot to unpack, like, just culturally, like with the gay people and Jews and all this stuff. Like, I mean, culturally, that's a lot. I mean, France is not the most, you know, open place, accepting of other cultures, shall we say? Yeah, the whole family, yeah. And like, okay, so we hooked them up with this real estate developer in New York, or whatever, landlord, I don't fucking know, whatever. Yeah. And also, but like, yeah, I have to wonder, like, how, like, what the promise really was, and if he actually delivered on, like, the return that he said that he would. Like, I don't know. Either there's some kind of Ponzi scheme going on with that, which, I don't know. Like, again, like, Epstein had a lot of connections to, like, a lot of people who had a lot of money and that didn't know about each other. So I guess it's definitely possible that he had all these other sources of, like, income to, like, make up for that. I mean, yeah, if he got this whole family to believe it, then maybe he had access to all this other, like, capital and all these other families stuff. Like, who knows? Could be a lot of stuff. You know what? That's another thing. I don't know if you guys, Vicky Ward did a podcast about Epstein and his finances in particular, and how he, like, pulled that whole thing off. And I think that's actually a that might actually be an Audible, like, a premium thing. But if you guys want to hear about that, Vicky Ward, by the way, she's an investigative reporter. She's from the or I don't know if she's from, like, England, but she lives and sort of moves in the, like, society circles in New York. She's a really good reporter. She, like, you know, she's the Kushner family, Ivanka Trump, all, like, that kind of stuff. Like, she knows all about that, and she reports on it for Vanity Fair. So very much similar to, like, this kind of story is what she's into. So she actually wrote a profile about Jeffrey Epstein back in the day in, like, 2003. And Count Steady Oversee, exactly. Big time scheme. Yeah, it had to be. I mean, it must have been. There had to be more. And, like, okay, so, okay, she wrote the profile for Epstein in Vanity Fair back in 2003, and she, like, was harassed by Epstein every day that she was working on that article. Like, he actually leaned onto Graydon Carter, who was the editor-in-chief at Vanity Fair at the time, to cut out the accusations of sexual abuse that she had uncovered while she was like looking up, you know, all these different sources and like investigating stuff for this article that she did. And if you guys are interested in that, then I can totally like have a listening party on Discord. I don't know if I can like share it here, but if you guys want to hear about that, like I'll set it up. Let me know. Leave a comment. Yeah, no, I don't think any of these people had a real job. Yeah. Shit. Because they made their own jobs. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
One of the chosen few who would help restore France to what it used to be. And guess what? They believed him.
Yeah, shit. Oh, but, oh, I think I assisted. Yep, yay. Man, I can now wait another 14 days.
Throughout the time that Thierry Tilly spent with the Vidrines, he shared a lot about himself. However, most of what he shared about his past was just straight up lies. He said that his mother was barely more than a child when she had him at the age of 14, that she would have been a championship figure skater if he hadn't been born. He claimed that his father was a naval frogman who worked in the special services for the Ministry of Defense. He said that at one time he was a semi-pro tennis player, as well as a semi-pro footballer who almost played for Marseille as a goalkeeper.
Oh, sorry.
He claimed that he was also a lawyer, a pilot, a professional
Discord
skier,
link is
and that
right
he parachuted from a military plane when he was only 12 years old. He claimed that he was ambidextrous and could play tennis with both hands. He bragged that he could run 1,000 meters in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. He claimed that he knew the former French president.
And again, this is just so much to unpack, like, just culturally. It's like, okay, so you've got, oh, hi, did you, where did that come from? Am I still logged in on this? I don't know. Okay, oh, here we are, okay. Hey. All right, okay, I got that. All right, okay, so that worked, sweet. All right, but yeah, like, so, okay. Again, it's like all this playing for sympathy. So he's like, he's super special and he has all these special talents, but also he comes from this background where, you know, his mother was exploited and you know, she had all this promise, but she, you know, instead had a kid and his dad was, what was it, off in special forces. Like, again, it's a very like outlandish kind of thing, but then, you know, you think he's already done all this stuff and he's like proven his word, you know, like to this family beforehand. So now you pretty much believe everything. It's just, it's very, again, it's a common thread, like, of like, oh, you know, humble beginnings and, you know, lack of opportunity and connections, but then proving themselves. It's a very common themes that you see with these kinds of stories about these kinds of people, you know? Anyway.
And Francois Mitterrand personally, as well as celebrities such as Brigitte Bardot, Pierre Richard, Sophie Marceau, and Lillian Bettencourt. He also said that he was related to the Queen of England. According to him, he was a descendant of the Habsburgs family, which is of Austro-Hungarian nobility.
Wait, okay. Oh, so now they have that connection too, because they're like, oh, so he's nobility too. Okay, I see. Interesting.
A strange claim to make, since
what
the
are the odds?
are notorious for their royal inbreeding.
Yeah.
The social account of his schooling was...
Yeah, that's also very strange. Like, of all, well, I mean, I guess, who really knows about all these other, I mean, you know. Are there any other royal families people can actually name? Like, I guess maybe it makes sense. Maybe just, you know. I mean, of all the families to pick, I guess. But then it's like, I guess, you know, famous. If anyone can, I don't know. But, I'm reading too much into this. Blech.
Was even more convoluted. He said that after he studied law, he received advanced placement into a school specializing in intelligence training for diplomats and soldiers. He claimed that he then gained a PhD in marketing and a specialist degree in the detection of counterfeit money. He said that he had a master's degree in property management and administration, as well as a degree in international economy. Then he claimed that he studied what he described as intelligence concerning codes of investment in relation to corruption. Of course, all of these claims were lies. No records exist backing up anything he said. When a judge questioned him years later in court, he attempted to confuse the discussion by listing a rapid succession of dates, names, and places. When pressed further, he simply claimed that he could prove it. That he claimed that his records were seized by Scotland Yard due to matters of national security. Okay, so
I mean, clearly nobody, right?
His claims,
wow.
Here's the real story of who Thierry Tilly actually is. Thierry Tilly was born on March 29th, 1964. He was a somewhat frail and sickly child who experienced convulsions, as well as problems with his eyesight, which had to be operated on. He grew up in a modest home. His father was a driver and his mother was a nurse. Although Thierry Tilly was endowed with a remarkable memory and possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of historical facts and dates, he was never a gifted student. After high school, he applied for entry into a naval college, but his application was rejected. Thierry Tilly lived with his parents until he was 30. During his 30s, he developed an interest in business. However, all of his ventures failed spectacularly. This was not because Tilly was incompetent, but rather it was because he was a crook. The little that's known about Thierry Tilly's past scams all involve one man, a lawyer named Vincent David. Yes, the very same Vincent David who first introduced Ghislaine to Tilly. The two met during the mid-1980s.
What are the odds?
And throughout the following years, they remained close friends. Vincent David recalled in court that, quote, "At first I found him congenial. He asked me to sort out various accounts, which it turned out could only be done through their liquidation. Without this, the company concerned would have had to close. I discovered later on that he won people's trust, got them to sign contracts, and then took matters no further. He wanted to dispose of a considerable number of companies whose articles of association remained vague. Initially, Vincent David wanted to help
That's a good question.
so he provided him with legal advice free of charge. Although he wasn't entirely sure what exactly it was that Tilly did for work, he believed that Tilly was brilliant and had a lot of potential.
Yeah, I don't believe this dude.
Before Tilly was able to rope Vincent into a scheme. Tilly claimed to be developing several luxury apartments in the house.
He had to
wanted
know.
Vincent David to jump on board as an investor. And
Like,
as
this guy was co-signing all this shit. Nah, I don't believe it.
But instead, he promised to give him keys to one of his apartment units once construction was done. Tilly also promised Vincent David a large return on his investment. The deal eventually collapsed, and Vincent David found himself stuck with an 18-month bill for unpaid rent of an apartment which Tilly was staying in. Vincent David later said in court that he still trusted Tilly even after that, since he saw him as a young man who was trying to take his first steps into the world of business. Not too long after that, Vincent David introduced Tilly to the heir of
It doesn't make sense. It's bullshit. Bullshit.
Then Tilly defrauded the heir, who for some reason never lodged a complaint. Whether Vincent David knew that Tilly had scammed Hughes Cassette is unknown. Regardless, Vincent David continued to associate with Tilly. Vincent David even let him stay at his home for some time, before his wife kicked him out, after Tilly had traveled to Nice in order to make a list of property belonging to her family. In court, Vincent David said of his wife,
yeah,
quote,
that's a good question.
"She realized before I did that his objective was to get his claws into rich people and to live off of their capital. He is brilliant. There's no question about that. But he employs his intellectual faculties in a scandalous manner.
I mean, yeah, he must have been. Jesus.
Into a position of veritable intellectual subjection." Last time, I talked about how Thierry Tilly slowly won the Vitrines' trust, and then told them that they were the targets of a plot. What I left out in that video was that not every member of the family fell for his lies. For example, while the rest of the family trusted Tilly, Ghislaine's husband, Jean Marchand, did not. Jean Marchand, who was a financial journalist for well-known papers in France, was also a highly educated and worldly man. At one point, he was the youngest editor-in-chief of a newspaper in France. In 1997, he launched a magazine, but it ultimately went bankrupt. Jean Marchand first met Tilly at an annual
So he would know
dinner
how to
for
research
Ghislaine's
people.
school in the year 2000. After they spoke, Ghislaine asked her husband what she thought of him. Foolish was the word he used.
I mean, we're thinking like, you know, pre-internet. So, yeah, having like a background in like journalism, that would give him an advantage on like, yeah, where to go and how to verify information that probably many of these other people in the family didn't know.
To describe Thierry Tilly, who had wasted no time before telling him that he was a secret agent. Jean tried to warn his wife that Tilly was a fraud, but his warnings fell on deaf ears. Ghislaine was already under Tilly's spell, and was far too gone to be reasoned with. Over the next few months, Jean Marchand continued to have run-ins with Tilly. Jean noticed that Tilly frequently borrowed money from people, but never seemed to pay for his own expenses. He recalled how Tilly told him that his briefcase would explode, if someone other than himself ever touched it, a statement which Jean found to be an unbelievably silly bit of fiction. One night, Jean stormed out during the middle of dinner, exasperated by Tilly's boasts and lies. Years later, he told a journalist, quote, Tilly said he belonged to an extraordinary network, that he knew everyone who was anyone, and he mentioned some kind of very mysterious supranational agency that was above NATO and the UN. He suggested that this thing was all-powerful and he belonged to it, and that therefore he could do everything he wanted. He was so bizarre that I couldn't take him seriously, and I distrusted him. Because of Jean's distrust, Tilly began to make a habit of regularly demonizing him, telling Ghislaine that he had proof that Jean was cheating on her and was planning to leave their marriage. Then he added that he had evidence that Jean was also part of the Judeo-Masonic plot targeting her. Although she was dissatisfied with her marriage to Jean, she still loved him deeply. So Tilly knew he had to gradually chip away at their bond over time, and that he did. It took a little over a year, but she started to believe that her husband, Jean Marchand, was in league with their enemies, and that her parents-in-law were as well. But Tilly didn't stop just there. He also claimed that her older sister, Anne, who died of a brain tumor in 1997, was instead murdered by her brother-in-law, who was also part of the sect. Going forward, Tilly continued to play the role of a secret agent, telling Elaine that his job at the school was only part of his cover-up. Over time, he added in more details, such as that there were other agents close by who were working with him. Sometimes he would make a show of nodding at a random passerby, and then claim that they were part of his team, telling her that they were all on the same mission. Whenever an issue would arise for her or the school, Tilly would find a way to blame it on unseen enemies. Tilly warned her that Freemasons wanted to hurt her, her family, and that she must be vigilant, implying that they are everywhere, even within the inner workings of the school. Soon it wasn't only strangers that she had...
And by the way, like, I just want to, like, point this out, because I think a lot of people, like we tend to, like, miss this part, but it's, like, interesting that it's popping up in this story, but, like, this is sort of the danger of really, you know, giving credence to every conspiracy theory, you know? Like, it opens you up to, like, to stuff like this. Like, it's crazy, it sounds crazy, but, like, you know, I mean, not to say that conspiracies don't happen or don't exist. I mean, for example, if this guy said, like, oh, I'm in a part of a group that's above NATO and the UN and it's the CIA, I'd be like, well, shit. Like, I would be liable to believe that. Because they can do anything. They can make up a fucking Havana syndrome and get government funds for it. Which, by the way, I'm sorry, but, like, okay, can we talk about that for a minute? Because, okay, I thought that we weren't naming, like, syndromes and stuff after locations anymore. Isn't that why Delta became the Delta variant instead of the variant that cropped up in India? So, but now we have Havana syndrome. I'm having a syndrome, Jesus. Havana syndrome, Jesus Christ. But, okay, so, like, but for example, the CIA can make that shit up and get government funding for it. So, like, if this guy tried to tie that into that, I would be like, okay, shit, you know what? Could be true. Could be true. That's my, you know, just my, political leaning, I guess. But, aside from all that, this kind of stuff, I mean, yeah, it's like, if people start believing this, and then, oh, you can, like, you know, from their perspective, from these, like, operators, it's like they can believe people, or, like, make people believe that everything wrong that happens in their lives is because of this conspiracy. And that's, like, what's really, like, it can be dangerous. That's when you get into, like, real dangerous paranoia, like, that is dangerous. Because paranoid people are dangerous. You know why? Because they think that people are out to get them. So they're liable to interpret innocuous things that happen as meaning something, as being, like, malevolent or malicious. And if they believe that, they're liable to start striking out at people. It's that, yeah, that yeah, psycho gameplays, there you go, yeah, like, that, you know, they start turning on people who don't mean them any harm. That's the real danger of someone like this employing, like, conspiracy theories in this way. Again, not that conspiracy theory, or Not that conspiracies don't happen, obviously. They do. Like, people conspire together and carry out plots. I mean, you know, CIA. I feel like I can just say that and, like, you guys want to, you get what I mean. But, like, still, at the same time, that doesn't mean that everything that goes wrong in your life is because of the CIA. Like, that kind of, like, there's a level of you know, removal, like personal removal from that kind of stuff, that if that gets like blurred, really can lead to some very scary situations. Yeah.
Wary of, but also her colleagues, family, friends, and even her husband. Tilly explained that part of his mission duties was making McCarthy-esque lists of Jews and Freemasons. Ironically, Tilly himself had been a member of the Freemasons before being removed for embezzlement. Then he started claiming that through his sources, he learned that the school was being eyed by a Masonic group since it was prime real estate. He warned her that in order to acquire it, they would use nefarious and deadly tactics.
Who was knocked out?
She became increasingly more paranoid of the enemies which Tilly spoke of. She
See,
lost 12 kilos and began to wear thick, dark sunglasses indoors and out. She believed people were following her wherever she went. She warned faculty members to watch out for Freemasons. A staff member at the school told Vanity Fair, quote, "We cannot have heat in the school because the fuel tank is empty. When I told Elaine that it had to be filled, she replied that the Jews and Freemasons had siphoned it and that it was a Judeo-Masonic plot. At Tilly's behest, Elaine renovated the groundskeeper's quarters at the school for him to live in and hired a guard to patrol the premises with a Rottweiler on a leash. She did this because she believed that Tilly needed an
maybe that's not that part of the video yet.
Due to his life as a secret agent. Following that, Tilly convinced Elaine to set up surveillance cameras at the school.
That's crazy.
She did this after he told her that his guard was overwhelmed with having to protect them from Freemasons and Rosicrucians by himself. By mid-2001, the school officially shut down. It was put into liquidation with a heavy liability and was in the process of declaring itself bankrupt.
Look that up.
However, Tilly told Elaine that the shutdown was only a temporary measure, and Elaine herself wasn't very concerned. She genuinely believed that she didn't have to worry because she was under the protection of Tilly's supranational organization, which the French government and courts were subordinate to. Additionally, she believed that Freemasons wanted to kill her family, which she saw as a more pressing concern than her failed school. What strengthened Tilly's claims that they were the target of a plot was that suddenly a string of mishaps began to plague the family. Elaine's son Francois was beaten up in the subway. 4 of their cars were stolen in quick succession. Charles Henri's gynecology office was flooded because of a gutter blocked by a blouse. Christine's car randomly caught fire at a toll booth. Then a farm trailer and some seed was stolen from one of their sheds. Tilly told them that the trailer would reappear within a week, and just like he said, it did. Without any intervention on their part, Christine's smallholders account was credited with a reimbursement of the cost of the stolen seed. When 2 of their cows died after swallowing barbed wire, even the vet who examined the animals was baffled. Following that, 2/3 of their estate was threatened by a plan for a reservoir, designed for the irrigation of crops. Tilly promised them that he would stop it from happening, and although the plan had been fiercely contested by the inhabitants throughout the region, Tilly took sole credit for stopping it. Whether many of these misfortunes were manufactured by Tilly himself remains unknown. Soon Tilly persuaded them to stop paying their taxes. He told them to send the money they owed to the fisc directly to him so he could do so on their behalf. Of course, he never did. Tilly encouraged other members of the family to beef up their security as well. He visited Philippe's home and installed security cameras and reinforced shutters. There he made acquaintance with Philippe's partner Bridget and warned her that her ex-husband was a Freemason and that she was being watched. Bridget fully believed him when he told her that her ex-husband wanted to seize her, lock her up, throw her into a psychiatric hospital, and then empty her bank accounts. Tilly then gave her what he called an encrypted phone, and she transferred 115,000 euros to him for protection. Philippe's partner Bridget became convinced that all strangers were potential kidnappers. She saw random inconsequential things such as seeing a suspicious white car make an abrupt turn, or seeing a man peek over his newspaper while she passed, as a sign that she was being followed. Terrified.
Okay, yeah, well, I mean, apparently he did, like, again, initially, apparently he did make them some kind of money, you know, or, you know, supposedly. So they did get some financial benefit initially, but yeah, this is like, I mean, this is like him like prying into her marriage and like, you know, trying to like shake like her trust in him and all of that. Oh yeah, what about Kanye and Kim? What about them? Like, what you think similar might be happening, or did something happen and I didn't hear about it? Well, let me know. Yeah, what's up with that? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
She soon became reluctant to even leave her house. By this point, Thierry Tilly had successfully reprogrammed the family into a cult.
Oh, and by the way, like him, like programming all and like, you know, potentially going around and like sabotaging stuff and like, you know, the cattle like eating barbed wire and all that like weird shit. Like, again, that's something that pops up in a lot of these kinds of stories. Like, yeah, someone who will like go around and like sabotage stuff and then be like, oh my god, it's the people who are out to get you. Like, yeah, you see that pop up quite a bit, especially with like cult leaders and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
And fear which he instilled in them had changed them from an ordinary group of people into puppets who would do anything he told them to.
Yeah.
Believing that he was the only one that could keep them safe.
Yeah, I think they actually did, right? Like, he was on a 5150 at one point, right?
Isolating themselves from the rest of the world.
So I guess they did.
One amazing thing about this story is that by March of 2001, Thierry Tilly fled France and moved to England indefinitely in order to escape from a 1-year sentence for fraudulent bankruptcy. Before leaving, he told Ghislaine that he was relocating to England for his mission.
Kanye also does have
Incredibly, his influence over the family continued. Yeah, going forward, their main form of communication with him was only by phone and
also,
email. And as unbelievable
that family,
as it sounds, he was still able to manipulate them, even though he was in a different country. Such was the case during September of 2001, when Tilly vetted the guest list for 2 back-to-back events that the family were hosting. Ghislaine's daughter's wedding and Ghislaine's yearly music festival. During the wedding between her daughter Guillemette and a young pianist from Nice named Sebastian, certain relatives were shunned and some were even barred from entry. Ghislaine's widowed brother-in-law and his children were included on Tilly's list of those who were prohibited from attending the wedding. Ghislaine even called her brother-in-law herself to inform him that he would not be invited because she had information that he was secretly a Freemason. Ghislaine's husband, Jean Marchand, and his parents also made it onto Tilly's list of potential enemies. Although they still attended Guillemotte's wedding, they were purposely given the cold shoulder by the Vadrines. In his book Diabolique, co-written by Ghislaine, Jean Marchand writes that he felt completely isolated from his family during the wedding, even while walking his own daughter down the aisle. A week later, during Ghislaine's annual music festival, Tilly imposed an even stricter control over the guest list than at the wedding. Tilly told them to treat certain family members with open hostility. And the festival ended disastrously when Charles Henri got into a fistfight with one such family member. Going forward, it didn't matter who Tilly accused of being a Freemason. Old friends, husbands, wives, children. If he said they were one, well then that was that. Case in point, shortly after the music festival, the Vadrines turned on Ghislaine's husband, Jean Marchand, and ousted him from their lives. Months prior to his removal from the family, Jean Marchand had asked Ghislaine for a technical divorce in order to protect
I didn't realize he bucked it, but
was that he wanted to avoid both of them being involved
do some research
in
on
the
that.
inevitable
Yeah, thanks for
bankruptcy
mentioning
of
it.
Ghislaine's school. He also wanted to save the remaining property, but had no intention of leaving Ghislaine. However, due to Tilly's past claims that Sean was a serial cheater who was planning to leave her for another woman and settle in the United States, Ghislaine mistook Sean's request of a technical divorce for a legitimate one, and Tilly used their miscommunication to ramp up his accusations against Sean. Jean Marchand's banishment from the family took place on September 7th of 2001.
Oh, wow.
It all began after Ghislaine found 2 items on her lawn. One was an oddly placed bouquet of flowers, and the other was a single glove. It's a testament to how paranoid they were by this point that finding these innocuous items put both Ghislaine and her brother Philippe into a state of absolute panic. After finding
that's that
the
weird
flowers
paranoia
and the glove,
stuff. Like,
Ghislaine immediately called Tilly in London. As mentioned earlier, Tilly didn't like Jean Marchand, especially since he couldn't control him. Prior to this, he had spent over a year demonizing Jean while speaking to Ghislaine and the rest of the family. Hence, he used the situation to spin an elaborate story so he could finally get rid of Jean Marchand. On the phone, Tilly told Ghislaine, quote, "These are the evil signs of the network to which Jean belongs. The glove means that they're going to cut off your hand, and the bouquet of flowers means that you are near death. So listen to me. You'll pick them up and put them in a bag, and then you'll throw them at Jean's feet after doing exactly what I tell you." After finishing what Tilly told her to do, she stopped at Philippe's house where she dropped off her bags. Then they waited for their brother, Charles Henri, to arrive. Tilly insisted that she be accompanied by her 2 brothers because they were all going to confront her husband, Jean, together. Then Tilly sent her an email detailing exactly what she had to say to Jean and even the time when to do so, 3:30 p.m. At 3:30 p.m. on the dot, The trio drove back to Ghislaine's house. There they found Jean Marchand. Following the instructions that Tilly had emailed to her, Ghislaine threw the glove and the bouquet of flowers at her husband's feet. Then she recited the following. Jean, here are the evil signs of your network that I have found in our garden in
Oh my god.
You have half an hour to pack up and leave this house. I know that you are part of a sect and have over 40 mistresses. Go back without turning around and reassure yourself. Uninitiated and weak beings like me,
yeah,
who
right?
have no soul and who are just good at being objects.
Yeah, this is a good documentary.
No regrets, nor remorse.
It's a good video.
It's
Shit.
life that prevails against the non-life of the initiates. Afterward, Jean attempted to reason with her, but to no avail. Then, suddenly, a physical altercation occurred. Then Ghislaine's brothers, Charles Henri and Philippe, clumsily grabbed at Jean's clothes and started dragging him to the door. After a great deal of struggle, Jean told them that he understood and that he would leave by himself. Following that, he packed his things and walked out the door. Soon, Jean learned that his joint account with Ghislaine had been emptied. A banker told him that a week earlier, Ghislaine had transferred their money and savings to a bank called National Westminster. She had left him penniless and in severe debt once his taxes came in. Following that, he was only able to get by due to a 10-month payment plan he had arranged with his bank, and also with the help of his parents and friends. Months after he was banished from the family, Jean left them a voicemail message which made Tilly's claims that he was part of a sect more believable. The message he left went, quote, "You, the family with dreams, vermin that you are, we are going to see to you. You're on your own. You're isolated, and you're already done for. The bailiffs will soon be there. You're finished." Jean's use of the word "we" only reinforced the theory that he was part of a plot against them.
What?
Going forward, Jean would be cut off from his children,
That's kind of bizarre,
and much of her family for the next 8 years. Even when his mother died of mesenteric ischemia only a month later, all of Jean's phone calls were ignored by his estranged family. Moreover, none of them attended his mother's funeral.
Oh my god.
Not even his children or his wife. Although Ghislaine writes that she loved her mother deeply and was very close to her, Tilly implored her not to attend the funeral because he claimed to have information that it was a trap to take her to a mental hospital. 48 hours after their confrontation with Jean, Tilly instructed Philippe, Bridget, and Ghislaine to sequester themselves inside of her school, which by then had been shut down and abandoned. Tilly told them that since they were no longer paying any rent, they must occupy the building until he aided them in reopening it. Thinking that they would only stay there for a few days and that Tilly was working on a life-saving plan for the school, they squatted there. However, Ghislaine, Philippe, and his partner Bridget ended up staying in the school for the next 4 months. Tilly was the only person they spoke to during this period. He called them 12 times per day with updates and orders. He assured them that he had agents on the ground, ready to neutralize any approaching enemy, but he added that they must take extra precautions to stay safe. Tilly only allowed the trio to go out on rare occasions. They lived on a shoestring budget without basics like heat, electricity, and
oh my god.
By December, the repo men arrived. They seized any assets from Ghislaine's school which could be sold to sponge off the debt accumulated from unpaid rent. Once again, Ghislaine was unfazed by this because Tilly insisted that he had everything under control. On the 15th of December, Tilly warned her that Jean's network of enemies was converging in on her and
this
that they
is
had
part
to
2
leave
of 5? Holy shit.
He told them that Jean had hired assassins to kill them. He added that these assassins were Asian. Terrified, they evacuated the school and
some more racism? Great.
At about 60 kilometers away from Paris, Tilly called and told Ghislaine that Jean had attached an explosive device to Philippe's Mercedes, and that it would explode at any minute. He then ordered them to stay calm and abandon the car as soon as possible. In a hurry, they took a train to Montflancan, feeling as though they were refugees after their months of seclusion, and with the power of Jean's network becoming even more threatening.
Wow. But like three of, oh my god, their own part. Oh my god, there's like 3 more parts. Holy shit. Okay. I'm in. I'm strapped in. Like, I gotta know. Like, I mean, yeah. I read the whole like the article like way back in the day, but like, yeah, this is a lot of fuckery. Damn.
There's an important person in this story who I've yet to mention, and that's a former car salesman named Jacques Gonzalez. Jacques Gonzalez was first introduced to the Vidrines as Tilly's boss, and as the president of a secret organization which helped protect aristocratic families from Judeo-Masonic plots targeting them. The Vidrines never knew much more than vague tidbits about Jacques Gonzalez. According to Philippe, he was the cousin of the Spanish king Juan Carlos, and led a very
more
discreet existence
nobility.
in Paris. Other family members said that he was the leader of a global network of secretive grandees and held more power than the presidents of France, Russia, and the United States. Whenever Tilly spoke to him on the phone, he would do so with hushed tones and would quickly move to another room to take the call in private. One day, Jacques Gonzalez visited Ghislaine's school. The halls were cleared, right? And no one was permitted to get a good look at him. Only one teacher saw what she described as a short man wearing a hat and moving quickly down the hall. Jacques Gonzalez was also said to be the head of a charity based in Quebec called the Blue Light Foundation, which purportedly funded various philanthropic endeavors such as the building of hospitals in China, bulk purchases of alfalfa intended to alleviate famine, and open cast coal mining. Jacques Gonzalez is a strange part of this story, and that's because, for some unknown reason,
strange part of a strange story,
a great deal of the money he stole from the Vidrines with him. Interestingly enough, while Gonzalez's phone was wiretapped by authorities, he was recorded telling his girlfriend that he thought Tilly was either ill or totally mad. In court, Tilly alleged that Gonzalez was the puppet master of the whole affair. He claimed that he was manipulated by Gonzalez into defrauding the Vidrines. He also claimed that the family had sought him out first, seeking his advice for tax evasion. Jacques Gonzalez claimed that he had no knowledge of what was happening, and that he simply believed that the Vidrines were a generous family who were happy to donate their money to the Blue Light Foundation. He said in court, quote, "If I had known what Thierry was doing, I would have never gone along with it." Although he insisted that he was innocent of any wrongdoing, there exist tapes from a wiretap operation of him pressuring Tilly to send him money. In court, a transcript of the phone call was read out loud, and he was quoted as saying, "I've had it up to here with these people. They must cough up the cash. If not, things will turn nasty. Execution." Regardless, he continued to claim that he was innocent, arguing in court that the phone call in
thanks for like being here, Andy. I appreciate it. Yeah, shit, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff.
All of the money he received
but thank you.
He wasn't responsible for the manner
thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Either way, there's
have a good night. Thank you.
Involvement until he's defrauding of the Vidrines.
Like, I know it's super late.
Unclear is exactly why Gonzalez's involvement was needed or beneficial to Tilly at all.
Great question, Nat.
Whenever Thierry Tilly sensed potential dissent from one of the Vidrines, his go-to strategy was to divide and conquer. He did so by demonizing an individual, and then encouraging the more convicted members of the family to oust them from the group. By this point in the story, he had already accomplished this with Jean Marchand, and he would go on to do the same with Jean and Ghislaine's son-in-law, Sebastian, who had married into the family only a few months prior. The last remaining connection Jean had to his family was with his son-in-law, Sebastian. Sebastian still called Jean from time to time, and even wanted to attend his mother's funeral, but was discouraged from doing so by the rest of the family. After their honeymoon, Sebastian and Guillemette lived happily in Nice for some months, but by late December of 2001, their marriage was ready to collapse due to the manipulations of Thierry Tilly. Sebastian told Jean that Guillemette had changed since they returned from their honeymoon. She suddenly became prone to anxiety attacks. She spent most of her time corresponding with her mother on the phone or via email. In an interview, Sebastian said, quote, "Guillemette explained to me that we had to pay attention to what we said on the phone, because it was tapped. She kept telling me that her father, Jean Marchand, was a dangerous man. One evening after returning..."
And I mean, clearly, like, this guy had accomplices. Like, we heard about that one guy earlier. And now this other guy. So, like, it is a good question. Just saying.
Turning from a movie, they had a fight and Guillemette ran off.
Someone's got to have records of this stuff. Like,
telephone booth, terrified and clutching the phone while speaking to her mother, Ghislaine.
This is clearly coordinated in some way.
To Nice. When Sebastian called and asked her when she'd be back, she told him that no one in her family could drive her to the station because all of their cars had been rigged with explosive devices.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Before he could find out more, she hung up. He kept trying to call back, but she never answered. Just like with John, until he began to make up stories about Sebastian, claiming that his team of covert agents had spotted him frequenting prostitutes. These same lies were then fed to Guillemette, who, trusting her mother and Tilly, fell for them completely. Tilly also convinced them that Sebastian was a murderer who was a part of John's network of killers. Sometime later, Ghislaine, her nephew Guillaume, and her daughter Guillemette traveled to Nice and visited Sebastian in order to confront him. Tilly instructed the trio to see if they can reconcile Guillemette and Sebastian's marriage, despite, quote, his sexual deviance and his membership in John's sect. Tilly also warned them not to eat or drink anything offered by Sebastian, as it might be poison. When they knocked on his apartment door, Sebastian refused to let anyone other than Guillemette in. Once Guillemette entered the apartment, the two newlyweds quickly engaged in a frantic argument. Then, without thought, Sebastian equipped himself with a large kitchen knife and headed towards the door where the others stood behind. Eventually, he put the knife away, but not before brandishing it in front of Ghislaine and Guillaume. Although the knife was meant as nothing more than an empty threat, they all had no doubt that Sebastian actually intended to kill them. Once things settled down, they all went to a nearby cafe to talk. They tried to warn Sebastian that he was in danger by associating with Jean Marchand, and that the men in Jean's sect would double-cross him. To this, Sebastian reacted with quiet bafflement. Everything they said sounded insane to him.
Yeah.
He realized that there was nothing he could say that would make them wake up from their collective madness. From January 1st of 2002 until August 2003, Elaine, Guillemette, Christine, Philippe, Bridget, and the family's 88-year-old grandmother, also named Guillemette, spent much of their time sequestered in their summer home, Chateau Martel. During this time, Tilly and Ghislaine exchanged emails and phone calls every day. He ordered them not to communicate with the outside world, not to answer the telephone, not to let anyone in, and not to read their mail. Outsiders, such as domestic helpers, were let go. Tilly claimed that his teams were in the woods watching Martel day and night, protecting them, and that it was the safest place for them to be. He claimed that their enemies had been spotted in the woods planting listening devices around their premises. Therefore, they all had to lay low. Once or twice a month, Ghislaine would go out to do their shopping, as she was the only one who was permitted to leave the house. Whenever she left, she did so with the overwhelming fear that she would be murdered by Jean's sect. However, Tilly assured her that his agents were always watching and that she was safe. Whenever she returned home, she was required to make an oral report to Tilly, detailing what she bought and if she saw anything or anyone suspicious while she was out. Inside
what wasn't suspicious to them at this point? Holy shit, like, fuck.
Tilly's orders by email and phone kept the Vidrines on constant edge. Tilly requested that they each keep a diary to record everything that happened inside of the house. He ordered them to take notes about everyday activities, the state of the relationships, and any curious or exceptional incidents which they observed. In her book, Christine describes Tilly's daily orders as a form of harassment. Quote, "One day we are obliged to close all shutters and live by electric light. Several days go by. Ghislaine gets an email. The state of emergency is lifted. We may reopen the shutters, but not go out into the garden. Besides the closed shutter alerts, he told us to do various more or less pointless things, such as washing the walls and floors thoroughly, cleaning out the cupboards, dusting the pictures. When the halt of tires reached the house, it would put the family into a veritable frenzy, obsessing over the potential danger and eyeing the cameras with intense fears, and of course, calling Tilly immediately. Otherwise, they passed their time with hobbies. Philippe played computer games such as Age of Empires 2, Bridget devoted herself to endless knitting, Christine read books, Ghislaine sat in the salon with her elderly mother, who kept busy by embroidering a tablecloth for Tilly. One day, Ghislaine's elderly mother, Guillemette, started to complain that she was experiencing blurred vision. She was developing cataracts, but Tilly convinced them that it was instead caused by their enemies, directing laser beams through their windows in order to unnerve them.
Laser beams? Laser beams at okay, again, kind of like Havana syndrome, right? But you know. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, no, but like clearly there was some kind of like criminal, like, I don't know if like, I don't want to say like conspiracy per se, but like clearly there was some kind of network of like shady people who were benefiting from this and colluding with this guy. Someone somewhere has to know something. There's got to be some weird like there's some like network of petty criminals or something somewhere. Someone knows some shit. Yeah, the sound waves thing. Like, I know that stuff exists, but I don't think that Cuba is making it here. And it's just so strange that they just mentioned that, because it's like, I don't know, Havana syndrome. I guess it's the new WMD, right?
All of them believed him except for Christine, who wasn't as convicted as the rest. But even her husband,
again, I know it exists, but I don't think
believed Tilly's theory about the
that's what's happening.
As a result,
in either of these situations.
To treat her cataracts. It wasn't long before neighbors began to notice that the Vidrines, who at one time enjoyed a positive reputation in the community, suddenly locked themselves up inside of their summer home. Some worried neighbors left food for the family, but such offerings were quickly discarded.
Oh my god.
Tilly warned them that his agents, stationed in the woods, had proved that the food was poisoned, and that their neighbors were trying to assassinate them. Tilly contacted them multiple times a day, requesting for money to be sent. This was all done under the guise that they were helping to finance the fight against their enemies. Charles Henry, who owned a gynecology and obstetrician practice, regularly sent urgent credit transfers to Tilly under various headings such as day-to-day money for the children, insurance, business investment. As for the sums involved, they all varied between 2,000 and 10,000 euros, sometimes even more.
Oh, I should.
Whenever Tilly asked, Charles Henry would leave work, even if the waiting room was full, and visit his bank in order to perform the transaction himself. The sole breadwinner of the 11, Charles Henry continued to work, even while the rest of his family were sequestered in Martel. However, in less than a year, he would also join them in their isolation.
Oh, wow.
Soon,
I didn't know
Charles
about
Henry's
that.
medical practice began to fail. So Tilly told him to ask his wife Christine.
I'm gonna have to research that. I've not heard anything about that. Like,
assets in order to help
yeah,
save
the
clinic.
seaside
Everyone in the
condo
family transferred money
building.
to Tilly.
Yeah, wow.
He had all of their bank account passwords and would check to see if they were hiding money from him. By 2003, Charles
that's
Henry's
wild. Like, I haven't
gynecology
heard
practice shut down. This transpired after Tilly
Let me get this in
suggested
a
that
tab
Charles
so I don't
Henry
forget.
undertake an internal audit of his practice. It was the lawyer Vincent David who performed the audit on behalf of Tilly's company, Presswell Limited. Charles Henry, being in charge of the management of his practice, proposed the audit to his partner, who agreed to go ahead with it. However, things became contentious after Charles Henry's partner was presented with a scant two-page report and a steep bill of 90,000 francs, 70,000 of which represented the lawyer Vincent David's fee. Later, it was made clear that Tilly owed money to Vincent David, stemming back to a botched real estate deal, and was trying to pay him back. Charles Henry told his partner that the audit and its large fee were necessary, but his partner wouldn't buy it. Then his partner had the audit examined by an accountant and a lawyer, and following that, he issued 15 legal proceedings, several of them against Charles Henry. His scheme thwarted, Tilly conjured up another conspiracy theory to feed Charles Henry. He told him that Jean Michon's sect of Freemasons, Jews, homosexuals, and Asian assassins were preparing files on his past medical errors in order to have him incarcerated for malpractice. Even worse, his former partner was also a part of Jean's sect. Tilly claimed that his agents on the ground had
I'm gonna do some
information
research
that
about
Charles
that,
Henry
because
would
that's
be
wild.
arrested by the next
Thank you
day.
for mentioning it.
Therefore,
Like,
he
I
must
haven't heard
liquidate
anything about that.
everything and disappear. However, far-fetched it may sound, Charles Henry believed Tilly. After entrusting his patients with two colleagues who he respected, he fled to Bordeaux for safe haven. Given only a few hours, he drove at breakneck speed, believing that he was being tailed by armed Asian assassins. Similar to how Tilly persuaded Elaine that the collapse of her school was only temporary, he promised Charles Henry that all was not lost. He explained that the Blue Light Foundation, headed by his boss, Jack Gonzalez, was planning to build hospitals abroad and that he would be guaranteed a major role. Charles Henry was sold. Later, Tilly convinced Charles Henry to sell his property in Bordeaux, since the proceeds gained from the liquidation of his medical practice wasn't enough to shake off their enemies. Charles Henry's wife Christine was hesitant, so Tilly accused her of preferring her property over the lives and safety of her children. For speaking out, Tilly convinced the others that she was hysterical and had her prescribed to transine. Sometime later, they sold their house in Bordeaux, as well as their beach apartment. They set aside 200,000 euros from the sale of their property in order to pay their taxes. But Christine later learned that 150,000 euros of that money was pocketed by Tilly. Moreover, Tilly had their possessions from the sale dispatched to London, where he sold everything without their knowledge. He continued to do this whenever he sold one of their properties. By June 15th of 2003, Tilly told him to leave Chateau Martel and relocate to Philippe's house, which was only a short distance away. Tilly told them to stay there for 5 days, but in fact, they never returned to Martel again. The reason for their sudden relocation was because Tilly knew that the Fisc, France's equivalent to the IRS, would inevitably send bailiffs to Martel since the family had not paid any taxes in 3 years. Soon the bailiffs and moving trucks arrived. A private detective.
Some countries actually take taxes seriously.
Film what transpired on that day. In the footage, the family could be seen desperately trying to intervene but failing to stop the bailiffs. Everything that could be auctioned off in order to pay off their debt was seized. Furniture, dishes, trinkets, books, and even items that didn't belong to the defaulting taxpayers, Charles Henry and Christine.
Oh my god.
Distraught, they immediately called Tilly in London. Tilly calmly explained that everything was going according to plan. He told them that it was all part of a ruse to make them seem vulnerable in the eyes of their enemies in order to bait them into an attack so that his agents on the ground could better neutralize them. A year later, Jean Marchand attended the auction of their belongings. With the help of a friendly auctioneer, he was able to secure some of their furniture, such as a Louis XIV wardrobe, a country sideboard, and a pair of Voltaire armchairs. Time kept passing for Jean without any results. Days turned into weeks, months into years. Any action he took to try and help his family failed. His complaints went unanswered. His letters to the public prosecutor were ignored. Jean Marchand requested legal guardianship for Ghislaine and her elderly mother Guillemette, arguing that they were both mentally unfit. But this failed after a psychologist spoke to them and said that they were fine. Disillusioned with the passivity of the legal system, Jean turned to the press. Since he was at one time the editor-in-chief of one of France's leading newspapers, he had many contacts at his disposal. Thus, he began a media campaign telling his story to France's leading journalists. He was met with skepticism from some journalists who launched their own investigation into the story. One such journalist named Dominic Lage visited Philippe's home.
Yeah, I mean, like, what kind of, like... I mean, okay, so this guy has clout and connections and, like, you know, like, I mean, he has more influence than most people would have if their family was in this kind of situation. So, like, but, like, I mean, there's almost nothing that, like, he could have done, really, if they're found to be, like, of sound mind, like, you know? Like, I mean, that's like, I don't know, it's a real, like, loophole that I think we have in our, like, legal system, just, like, in the world. Yeah, that, like, getting scammed is so, like, enabled by, you know, the legal system, or, like, that it's technically legal to get scammed. Kind of crazy.
Where he encountered a very hostile Ghislaine who slammed the door in his face. After that, Dominic Lage wrote his article, but due to French privacy laws, he was not allowed to publish Thierry's full name.
Not.
Instead, he only wrote Thierry T. The Vidrines later sued the newspaper, calling the article an intolerable interference in their private lives. As a result, the journalist was charged with an invasion of privacy and was required to pay the Vidrines 23,000 euros. The money, of course, went straight to Thierry Tilly. On September 25th of 2003, a few visiting policemen brought the article to the family's attention and made slightly antagonistic comments. Although the article mentioned that Tilly was a known fraud, the family laughed at what they saw as the naivety of journalists, as they believed his criminal charges were just a part of his cover. In her book, Diabolique, Ghislaine writes, "It seemed downright comical to us. For the first time in a long time we laughed, even to the point of choking ourselves. It is because we knew that all of these convictions were artificially constructed in high places to serve as his cover." Meanwhile, Ghislaine's husband,
I've got to find this book. Holy shit.
Everything he could to try and save them. Despite his many attempts, Jean didn't receive much help from the police, but they were sympathetic to his cause. The police station in Montflancan filed a number of reports themselves and visited the family frequently for welfare checks. However, the police told him that there was nothing that could legally be done to stop adults from sequestering themselves inside of their own home. Although the Vidrines successfully sued the reporter, Dominic Lage, Jean Marchand was able to attract the attention of other newspapers. The media was hooked on the story which they dubbed The Recluses of Montflancan. As a result, Jean appeared on several major television news programs, such as TF1, France 2, France 3, and Canal+. A short documentary was made in which he, along with Sebastian, spoke about how Tilly ruined their marriages and their lives.
Jamais de nouvelles.
À l'heure actuelle, je ne sais pas ce qu'elle a à me reprocher. C'est-à-dire que elle serait partie pour un autre homme, elle m'aurait dit écoute, j'aime quelqu'un d'autre. Elle serait partie à l'étranger en me disant je préfère vivre complètement au soleil. Alors on était quand même amis, enfin, dans un autre monde.
Vous n'avez jamais rien dit?
Non, absolument pas. Je n'ai aucune raison rationnelle pour savoir pourquoi elle est partie.
Wow.
Et le jour où j'ai commencé à aller mieux, sur un plan psychologique, parce que c'est vrai qu'un choc comme ça, un drame pareil, ça vous met un petit peu sans dessus dessous. Et le jour où j'ai commencé à aller mieux, c'est le jour où je me suis dit, ça sert à rien d'essayer de comprendre leur fonctionnement, parce que c'est irrationnel.
Parce que moi, ce que les gendarmes me disent, c'est... Ça, c'est ce qu'on vous dit, en fait, allez les voir, ils sont pas si mal que ça, ils sont très bien, c'est un choix.
Non, ça c'est faux. Alors, moi, ce que je vous répondrai, allez les voir, et vous verrez. Allez les voir.
Meilleure réponse.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un?
Sympathetic, but they do that.
Bonsoir, monsieur. On peut rentrer? On peut rentrer? Tilly vient nous parler?
Certaines affaires sont en cours d'instruction. Donc, si vous avez besoin de renseignements, vous vous rapprochez de notre avocat.
D'accord.
Voilà.
Alors, je voudrais d'abord vous dire une seule chose.
C'est tout. C'est tout.
Whoa. Okay, what? Okay, I hope this is like... Okay, so last two. Yeah, I gotta know. I gotta know. What the hell could possibly happen next? I've got to know. Holy shit.
Before we get started with part 4, let's quickly go over
here we
the
go.
Dream's
Family tree.
and then a timeline of events thus far.
Wait, put in
At
words.
the top, we have the matriarch, Guillemette de Vidrine.
Mm.
Her 3 children are Charles-Henri de Vidrine, who's married to Christine de Vidrine, Ghislaine de Vidrine, who's married to Jean Marchand, Philippe de Vidrine, whose partner is Brigitte Martine. The children of Charles-Henri and Christine are Guillaume, Amory, and Diane. The children of Ghislaine and Jean Marchand are Francois and Guillemette. Guillemette was married to Sebastian in September of 2001, but divorced him only 4 months later, in January of 2002. Okay, now here's a quick recap of what's been covered thus far. In 1997, Tilly met Ghislaine. He spent 3 years ingratiating himself with her before she introduced him to the rest of the family in August of 2000. From 2000 until 2001, he proved himself to the family by helping them with their problems and became something like their personal savior.
Right.
From 2001 until 2003, under his influence, they became afraid to leave their house. He destroyed their businesses, marriages,
2003.
He managed to do this even though he left France and moved to England in 2001 in order to escape charges for fraudulent bankruptcy. Once in England, he continued to manipulate the family by phone and email. Links to the family tree and the timeline of events can be found in the description box below. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started with part 4. By this stage in the story, 2003 was coming to a close.
Like from 1997 to 2000.
All of their children were separated from them by Tilly. Francois and Amory were sent to Oxford under the guise that it was for their studies, and Diane was enrolled into a boarding school. Instead of continuing their education, Francois and Amory were left stationed in a 2-room apartment for months with nothing to do. Money was sent to pay for Francois and Amory's
TV movie too, holy shit.
Tilly pocketed all of it. When Tilly visited the boys, he gaslighted them into believing that their parents had abandoned them. He said that their parents never called because they didn't love them anymore, and that they were even capable of poisoning them. Being a skilled manipulator, Tilly knew he had to keep them occupied as to not give them time to discuss and critically think. Therefore, he made up nonsense for them to do. Tilly told them to watch a building which he said the Blue Light Foundation planned to make it to its headquarters. Every day from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m.
By the way, all this like busy work that he gave them to do, like washing the walls and the ceiling or the floors, cleaning out the cupboards, this is what makes me think like he must have had other families somewhere like doing the same thing, because he gave them all this weird shit to do to occupy their time. So he could go and do what? We don't know. Man, this is some... I gotta look in... Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a bunch of research on this. This is crazy. There's gotta be more to it.
In a cafe, surveying the building and taking notes of any suspicious activity. Tilly also assigned them the task of buying cell phones of specific make, model, and color for Jacques Gonzalez. After Gonzalez was arrested in 2009, police found the very same collection of cell phones stashed away in his home. Many of them still in their packaging.
Absolutely.
One day, Francois' sister, Guillemette, joined the boys in England. They all lived in a crowded apartment without much to do, so things quickly became contentious. The apartment didn't have any heating or hot water, and they were all penniless. As a result, the relationships began to deteriorate, and Amory asked Tilly to let him move out and live alone, away from his 2 cousins, Francois and Guillemette. Eventually, Tilly moved Amory into an office which he claimed belonged to the Blue Light Foundation, with the conditions that no one could know that he lived there, and that he must undergo some self-examination in order to reflect on why he was unable to get along with his cousins. The office, of course, did not belong to Tilly, so Amory squatted there.
Yeah.
He slept in a sleeping bag and washed himself with cold water from a sink. His cousins would visit to bring him 1 meal a day. For 9 months, Amory never left the office. Tilly gave him some books, as well as a notepad for him to record his thoughts and the progress of his self-examination. which Tilly called a necessary exercise if he was to succeed in becoming himself.
Bizarre.
Tilly told Amory that he would share the notebook
to believe all
with a
this.
psychologist to help him. One morning, a bailiff knocked on the door and told Amory that he was trespassing. He informed him that the rent for the office hadn't been paid in months. Afterwards, Amory moved back in with his cousins, who, under the influence of Tilly, berated him for losing a perfectly good apartment through sheer stupidity. After moving back in with his cousins, Francois and Guillemette, he was forbidden from entering the apartment any further than the entrance hall. Later, Tilly ordered Amory, Francois, and Guillemette to take jobs in England at places like Zara and Burger King. Additionally, in order to fund the fight against their enemies, they gave 90% of their earnings to
Oh my god.
Meanwhile, the adults in the family almost never left Philippe's house, and for 18 months they weren't allowed to see their children. They were only told about them indirectly while sending money.
This
but
is
most
crazy.
often, any news they heard would be about how Tilly's men had successfully thwarted another attempt on their children's lives. By August 2006, Christine and Charles Henri were invited to Oxford by Tilly to discuss the progress of their investments. Although he told them that they would stay there for only 3 or 4 days, their stay instead lasted until 2009.
Oh my god.
Before their journey to England, Christine sifted through the state of their finances and calculated that by that point,
so at least
they
like
had lost
12,
around
13
€4.5
years.
million since
Holy
entrusting
shit.
their finances
Holy
to
shit.
Tilly. It had been 6 years since Christine had first met Thierry Tilly, but she felt as though she hardly knew the man. Before traveling to England, she had only seen him 3 times, spoke to him once on the telephone, and a few times via email. When she and her husband, Charles Henri, met him in Oxford,
like none of this
he
was
set
like
them up in
weird.
a dilapidated little house opposite of his. It was
Like,
still
none of that
undergoing
was strange.
renovations, and electrical wires hung from the ceiling. Several of its rooms were barely habitable, and the kitchen was unfinished. Tilly apologized several times for his lackluster accommodation.
Well, I think the like enemies were probably like the conspiracy that he convinced them was against them, the Rosicrucians and the Freemasons and like this like the enemies who are out to get them, which also I guess apparently includes their extended family and you know the one Ghislaine's ex-husband and like, or I don't know if they were divorced, but you know, estranged husband in any case, and everyone who was trying to talk to them and say like maybe this dude's not entirely on the up and up. I guess they're all in the enemy category too now, I guess that's how it works, right? Or this stuff, this weird kind of situation.
But promised them that once the house was finished, it would belong to their son Guillaume.
Enemies.
In her book, Christine writes, quote, Tilly spends most of his time up in the attic, in his office, except when he disappears for the whole afternoon. He has long discussions with Charles Henri, who becomes evasive when I ask him what they talk about. After 2 weeks in England, Christine finally broached the topic of money with Tilly. Tilly then took her aside and sat her down to tell her about his plan. He explained to her that somewhere locked inside of her was knowledge of a secret hidden treasure.
Here we go.
He told her, like Charles Henri, she was a descendant of a very old family. He said that there were ancient families in France who were the chosen guardians of treasure.
That's a good question. That's a good point.
Kings, so that
I mean,
they
it's
may
pretty
come to the
crazy.
aid of the most impoverished and guarantee equilibrium. He then said that these families passed on the secret
that's a good
from
take.
generation
That's a good
to
one.
generation. The secret he was referring to was called the transmission.
Good point.
He said that her family possessed considerable hidden riches, which she had knowledge of locked away inside of her memory, but the location of the treasure and how to retrieve
maybe
it
she's
needed
making
to be
this up.
unlocked.
Maybe
Christine, he said, must find the treasure, which
question.
consisted of gold and jewels. After hearing this, Christine reacted logically, calling his story absurd. Unlike most members of the family, Christine says that she had many doubts about Thierry Tilly from the get-go, but she claims that she went along with his orders out of fear of being alienated by the rest of the family. Tilly continued his story, telling her that he knew for a fact that the transmission was real because his boss, Jacques Gonzalez, witnessed it. He added that the immense burden of the transmission was too heavy for her, and that she must have lost all memory of it. According to him, this sometimes happened.
Not
His
checkers,
boss had already
right?
seen several cases like it. He explained that the more serious the matter, the more easily it slips the mind. Throughout the following days, Charles Henri begged his wife Christine to do all that she could to unlock the transmission.
He found another wait, what?
With his orders, out of fear of being
Wait.
alienated by the rest of the family.
Did I get that?
Continued
Did I
his
get that
story,
right?
telling her that he knew for a fact that the transmission was real because his boss, Jacques Gonzalez, witnessed it. He added that the immense burden of the transmission was too heavy for her, and that she must have lost all memory of it.
Oh.
According to him, this sometimes happened. His boss had already seen several cases like it. He explained that the more serious the matter, the more easily it slips the mind.
That's a good theory. I like that.
His wife Christine to do all that she could to
It would
unlock
make
the
sense.
transmission and to save the family. When she argued that she had no memory
oh my
of it,
God,
Charles
like...
Henry became annoyed. One day, Tilly sent Charles Henry and Guillaume to deliver laptops to Jacques Gonzalez. They drove to a cafe where they met.
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify. Okay, so I thought that he had gotten another guy in there to say, like, that, oh, I've seen this before, and the more important it is, the harder it is to remember. But apparently it's just him talking about the other conspirator and relaying this all secondhand. Man, this is a lot. This dude, like, yeah, there's no way this was the first time he did this shit. Like, and, like, yeah, I'm wondering if maybe this was, like, yeah, her trying to recoup on some of this, or recoup, or whatever. Like, yeah. Because, yeah, the insurance will come through.
Tall, thin man named Pascal the Great. Then they gave Pascal the keys to their car with the laptop still inside, and waited several hours before he reappeared and returned the car to them before leaving once again. Upon their return to Oxford, Tilly instructed Charles Henry to tell Christine that during his trip to England, he saw proof that the transmission was real and that the hidden treasure exists. And Charles Henry did just that. Charles Henry told Christine that he visited the offices of the Blue Light Foundation and was shown reliable documents which proved beyond any doubt that the transmission and the treasure were both real. Meanwhile, Tilly continued to question Christine, explaining that he believed the whereabouts of the treasure was locked somewhere inside of her subconscious. After several days of interrogation, Christine told him that she once attended a ball in which young girls were formally introduced into Belgian high society. For some reason, Tilly latched onto this anecdote and used it to conclude that it meant that the treasure was somewhere in Belgium. In no time, he sent Christine, escorted by her son Guillaume, to Belgium and instructed them to visit banks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. Like, it's a great question.
Over the course of a week, Christine and Guillaume went from bank to bank and were repeatedly told by confused tellers that there were no accounts or safety deposit boxes under her name. Although the futility of this quest must have been clear to her, Christine felt as though she had failed her family. When she and her son returned to England, she broke down and said to Tilly, quote, "Thierry, am I still one of the 11? I don't want to be thought of as a traitor. I've done nothing wrong." Later, her worries were justified. Her family began to treat her badly, believing that she was withholding the location of the treasure out of greed. Her husband, Charles Henry, felt as though she was betraying the family
and she
putting
said
their
that
children's lives at risk.
She didn't even
Tilly
quite believe it
screamed at
herself,
her, blaming her for
but
impoverishing them all by refusing to say where the treasure
I don't know.
was. After that, her imprisonment began. Tilly said it would last until she could reveal the location of the transmission. Tilly confiscated her ID, watch, engagement ring, and necklace, claiming that they were all.
And again, it's not like this guy like was under some delusion himself. So again, this is really just more busy work that he sent them on. Like, what was he doing otherwise? Like, and yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. The insurance company and policies upon it, property, absolutely. Like, I've got to know. Like, yeah, I gotta look into this, definitely. Man, I'm gonna be up. I'm gonna be looking this shit up. Like,
an explanation
this is too much.
His real intention to pawn them. Although Tilly must have known that the transmission did not exist, he reacted with explosive anger whenever Christine failed to tell him where it was. Years later, when the family wasn't under his influence anymore, they speculated that his whole talk of the transmission and the hidden treasure had just been a ploy to see if they were hiding money from him in other accounts. Eventually, Tilly ordered Christine to exhaustively rewrite a list of phrases meant to jog her memory and persuade her of the consequences of failing to do so. She spent several days rewriting lines such as, "I want to, therefore I can. I know what I must do. Act, otherwise danger. A transmission has taken place within my family. Traces of it remain in my memory. I must and I can recover them. This is possible. This transmission represents an astonishing opportunity for us all. It is all very easy. It is within my reach. I must reflect, look myself in the face, have complete confidence in myself, show humility, begin at once. I am capable of this. Concentrate on the desired goal. Do not lie to myself. If I do not do this, I endanger the lives of Guillaume, Amory, and Diane. I will be a bad mother. I must be able to look myself in the face. After
Yeah, I don't know if this is like,
Christine tried to escape,
if
but
she
no man
literally
as far as
went
the
to
street
prison,
before
or
Tim
if
spotted her on one
like
of his surveillance
this is her
cameras and
imprisonment.
brought her
I
back
don't know.
inside by telling her that she was putting her children's lives in danger.
I guess we'll find
In
out, right?
2007, she was finally let out of the room, but
Oh
her
my
imprisonment
God.
was not over. What she didn't know was that it would resume in the following year, and that her own family members would become her torturers. By January of 2008, Christine was escorted into Tilly's home and was surprised to find that most of her family members, many of whom she hadn't heard from since 2006, were all there waiting for her. After reuniting the family, Tilly sat them down for a lengthy discussion.
I mean,
according to him, one of them knew the location of the transmission.
yeah, there's
but was
no
hiding
way
it.
this was
He
like
told them that until they could
the
find
first
out
or
who it
only
was,
time he
they
did
were
this.
not
This is
permitted to eat,
no
sleep,
way.
or leave the
Like,
room. Moments later,
this
Tilly
is
went
too crazy.
downstairs and returned to tell them that he had intercepted an assassin and had successfully neutralized the threat.
And also, like, this would be so crazy that any other, I feel like anyone, like, most people who, like, this kind of crazy shit happened to would be too, like, embarrassed to tell anyone, you know? Because it's nuts. So, I mean, there's gotta be more people who went through some kind of shit. Whether elements of this entire, like, crazy scam or the scam in its entirety. I don't know, but there's, like, no way that this guy is just, like, this is the first time he's, like, trying this shit out. There's no fucking way.
Claimed that as he went by the kitchen, he bumped into an armed hitman who had broken into the house and was there to slaughter them. Tilly told them that by using his close combat skills, he took out the assassin immediately. His proof of this happening was footprints, supposedly left behind during the scuffle. And of course, all of them believed him. Later, Philippe, Elaine, Christine, and Charles Henri endlessly interrogated each other in the living room. What followed was a long and illogical discussion, filled with mindless accusations mostly directed at Christine. Sometime prior to this, Tilly told Elaine that he had information that Christine had an affair with her father-in-law, and that Christine had seduced him into sharing with her the whereabouts of the transmission. Tilly also said that Guillaume was the incestual love child of Christine and Guillaume's paternal grandfather. Denying this accusation did nothing for Christine. Every member of the 11 believed it. Even Christine's husband,
Holy
Charles
shit.
Henri, willingly accepted that Guillaume was not his son simply because Tilly said so. Eventually, they all agreed that it was in fact Christine who had knowledge of the treasure's location. She was then led into the basement where her imprisonment resumed. There she was ordered to sit on a stool while her family continued to interrogate her. Tilly explained to Charles Henri that because Christine underwent hypnosis years prior, that if she fell asleep during great moments of psychological distress, she would wake up with an insane mind.
Yeah, so we're on the same, like, we're picking up on this, like,
that Charles Henri believed Tilly's
there's
outrageous claim and became terrified of letting her fall
like,
asleep.
yeah.
Thus, whenever she shut
This
her
is just
eyes,
way too
he'd
much,
pinch
like,
her earlobes to wake her up. Without access to watches or clocks, they lost track of time. The interrogation
it's
continued
way too
with
much.
no end in sight. Sleep deprived and hungry, their irritation at Christine mounted as her responses became
so
less
brazen.
and less coherent. Eventually, exhaustion took hold, and Christine made up an account number just to make it all stop. Soon she was forced to sit on a stool and face the wall. Tilly told her that she was unworthy of looking at the faces of her family members. Occasionally, she fell off the stool and needed to be helped back up. Tilly accused her of doing this on purpose. Then he ordered the others not to let her use the toilet. Later, unable to hold it in any longer, she urinated on herself. In time, Christine started to believe that she may in fact have the secret location of the treasure hidden somewhere inside of her subconscious. She tried her best to remember its location, but had no success in doing so. Later, she strung together a few random digits and names of banks, but when Tilly returned empty-handed, he became even more irate. He then assaulted her, punching her violently on the back while screaming threats and demands into her ear. Everyone watched, but no one intervened. With no results, Tilly reverted back to his favorite method of manipulation, divide and conquer. He accused her of having an affair with Ghislaine's ex-husband, Jean Marchand, and he claimed that he had videos and photos to prove it. Yet again, her family members accepted this unquestioningly, and they didn't even ask to see videos or pictures as proof. In her book, Christine writes, "From the top stair, my 3 children are watching me, at which point I react furiously, and I deny it, the whole thing, protesting loudly that it is ridiculous and completely false. Ghislaine slaps me in the face, bellowing, "Confess, just confess." He's got a video. Eventually, exhaustion took hold of all of them. Charles Henry fell asleep while standing against a wall, and Philippe was too starved to continue. After 24 days of torture, the Inquisition of Christine finally came to a close. Then Tilly informed them that due to their failure to locate the hidden treasure, they would have to sell their beloved and ancient property, Chateau Martel. According to him, this was the only way that they would be able to continue to pay him for their protection. Somehow, this brought them momentarily back to their senses. For the first time in several years, they refused to follow his orders and sell Martel. However, their rebellion was short-lived. Tilly persuaded them that they could instead take out a mortgage on Martel, which they could pay back over the course of a few years. Later, they saw a notary agent who refused to aid them in the sale after receiving an anonymous tip that the family were the victims of mental manipulation. At which point, Guillaume called Tilly, who pretended to be his father on the phone
that's what I'm saying. Like,
with the notary agent for 3 hours.
This
Eventually,
is like,
Chateau
yeah,
Martel was
there's
sold
like
for
a whole,
460,000 euros, with the stipulation
like,
being that
holy
they could
shit,
purchase the property back
there's
by
gotta be
paying
way
the
more
sum
to
of
it.
51,000 euros annually. As Ghislaine recalls in her book, that day in January 2008, we lost the family property. The money gained from the sale of Chateau Martel was, of course, pocketed by Tilly, who had no intention of paying the annual fee. Soon the hold Tilly had over the family started to crack, and Philippe became the first member of the 11 to leave. One day in February of 2008, Tilly sat the family down to discuss the details of how he budgeted their money to pay his teams. Then suddenly, Philippe snapped and called him a crook. Tilly sat stunned momentarily before Ghislaine and Charles Henry quickly came to his defense. Ghislaine shouted, "You're losing your mind, Philippe." Charles Henry demanded that he explain himself. Then Tilly suddenly shouted, "He's got a knife in his pocket." Although Philippe showed them that there was nothing but lint in his pocket, the damage was done. Tilly had managed to regain control of the situation and make the others think that their brother Philippe had a knife even though he didn't. Philippe yelled, "You're all blind. Blind, blind, blind." Ghislaine's son, Francois, then ran down the stairs and attacked Philippe. Philippe punched him in the face with enough force to knock him backwards. Then Philippe bolted at Diane, threw himself onto her, and viciously bit her arm. Tilly reappeared in the midst of the chaos and yelled, "What's going on here? Do you realize the spectacle that you're offering here? If you don't immediately cease this sprawl, it'll go real bad for all of you. I promise. Do you seriously think I will continue to mobilize my teams to protect a bunch of mentally ill people that beat each other as if they were in a schoolyard? Cease this circus immediately, or I'll give the order to lift the protection around the home. The neighborhood is filled with killers. You would be left at best with 24 hours to live. Am I understood?" After things cooled down, Philippe walked up the stairs and away from the rest of the family.
Gangster's right.
Charles Henry gave first aid to Diane, whose arm was bleeding from her uncle Philippe's bite. Charles Henry attended to Francois as well, who was fine. Christine stood motionless, with a dazed look on her face. On the 5th of February, Philippe, Bridget, and Ghislaine returned to Montflancan by plane. At his house, Philippe noticed that 2 plates were missing from the cabinet, and asked Ghislaine if she took them. She denied that she did, and Bridget tried to take the blame instead, but he didn't believe either of them. Then they sat to have breakfast. Immediately after breakfast was over, Philippe entered Ghislaine's room while she was trying to take a nap. Philippe locked the door behind him. He told her to call Tilly immediately and ask for 50,000 euros, while saying, "He's ruining us, and you see nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing." Then he attacked Ghislaine with an avalanche of blows. Her face and mouth quickly became covered with blood. Philippe seized the belt of her bathrobe and proceeded to strangle her.
Holy shit.
Ghislaine managed to liberate herself, but then Philippe started to smother her with a pillow. She nearly died before he realized what he was doing and managed to stop himself. Immediately after that, he called the police. When the police arrived, Philippe was taken to a psychiatric hospital where he stayed for 2 weeks. His condition, as well as the 7 years under Tilly's control, made a hospital stay necessary. Ghislaine refused to press charges against him, which Tilly later scolded her for. On the 6th of February 2008, Philippe's daughter called Jean Marchand and told him what had happened. For several years, Philippe's children had distanced themselves from the family. When they first met Tilly in the year 2000, they found him to be ridiculous. They didn't believe that a secret agent with a law degree would be fixing computers at Ghislaine's school. They even investigated Tilly and found out that he had a criminal record. When they tried to tell their father Philippe, he laughed it off and explained that the charges were fabricated and just a part of Tilly's cover.
Oh my god.
By the time Philippe's daughter called Jean Marchand, any progress in the case had stagnated. There was a financial investigation into Tilly's money laundering, which spoke lengths, but nothing came from it. When put into contact with the magistrate, his attempts to pick up the pace came with no success. Moreover, the first wave of articles and television specials about the family had passed. With no new updates in years, the media's interest had died down. A judge had taken an interest in the case, but it was not his highest priority.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, I guess technically it's not illegal to believe something delusional. I mean, I guess, or at least there's no, like, allowance for that legally, or for, like, recompense for people being exploited when they're delusional. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wow. It's a lot.
Additionally, Jean Michel met with a lawyer named Daniel Picotin, who specialized in fighting against cults. But in order to take any action against Tilly, the authorities needed at least one of the 11 to testify against him. Philippe breaking free of Tilly's hold was a thrilling moment, as it was the lucky break that the case needed. Philippe was a direct victim, making him a potential catalyst for legal action against Tilly. A few days later, Philippe called Jean, and they met in Paris for breakfast at the National Assembly, a parliament building where Jean was working at. When Jean Michel...
Oh, gee. Okay, that's the music. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, something. There's gotta be something like that. Like Russian mob or agent. Yeah, like, there's gotta be something. Yeah, this is too much. This is too much.
For the first time in 7 years,
this cannot just be one person.
Towards him, suddenly dissipated. Philippe, he said, walked in with an uncertain gait and had a lost look in his eyes. He was no longer with Bridget, who had moved closer to her ex-husband and her children after being emancipated from Tilly's cult. Jean Michel and Philippe spent the following week together. After years of seclusion, Philippe had a difficult time adjusting to the outside world. Jean Michel writes that when they went shopping together, quote, Philippe looks at the shelves as if he can't see them. Although Philippe assured Jean that he was ready to tell him the whole story, and even said that he would sign anything that Jean presented him with, he didn't take any immediate action. Philippe instead procrastinated, lacking the strength and urgency to file a complaint or civil action. Whenever Jean Michel pressed him to do so, Philippe argued that the others, still under Tilly's control, did not understand anything and that trying to help them would be a waste of time. After much pressure from Jean and his children, Philippe finally took legal action against Tilly. Jean Michel writes, "One day he called me and said almost triumphantly, 'That's it, I did it.' However, there was still a lot to be done before they could save the rest of the family, and before Terry Tilly could be finally brought to justice. But there was one other major breakthrough. After reporting Tilly to the police, Philippe gave Jean Michel a crucial piece of information. It was the address to the house that his wife and children were staying at in England. Immediately after that, Jean traveled to England, hoping that with Philippe's emancipation, this sordid tale would soon come to an end."
Oh my god. Holy shit. And that's, like, I feel like in, like, a lot of these cases and, like, stories that you hear, it's like, yeah, like, people who escape will be so demoralized about it that, like, it's like they're just too, like, burnt out to even... Yeah, wild though. What's that? Okay. Wow. Like, okay, last one. Okay, and then I'm probably gonna get out of here and crash, but because I did not expect to be on here this long, but like I can't not finish, like, holy shit, like I cannot finish it. But yeah, he had to be some kind of, I mean, at least some kind of mafia connections, like, at least. This is too much for one person. This is just way too much.
Part of the Thierry Tilly series.
Oh
Last
shit.
time I left off with Jean Michel, obtaining the address of the home in England where his family was staying. On the 12th of March 2008, Jean Michel arrived in Oxford and paid them a visit, putting them all into a state of panic. Remember, to them, Jean Michel represented a mortal threat. They all believed that he was the leader of the cult that was targeting them. So his sudden appearance could only mean one thing, that he was there to kill them all. Upon seeing her ex-husband approach the home, Elaine called Tilly and asked him why
I'm sorry, it's just like that's so...
Jean Michel approached without stopping him.
I know they
Tilly
believed it, but
responded
like
that
that's
he already
just
told her years prior
bizarre.
that Jean was in
So
Oxford,
bizarre.
but she had simply
But
forgotten.
yeah, no
Then he ordered her
disrespect
to tell
to
her son Francois
their delusions.
to break
It's
Jean
just,
Michel's
wow.
face and chase him off. Instead of fighting his father, Francois opened the door and told him to leave, and threatened to call the police. Jean Michel pleaded with him, telling him that he just wanted to see them and that he loved them. He said that he wasn't a danger, and that he had no intention to harm them. Then something strange happened. When Jean Marchand reminded Francois that it had been 7 years since they last saw each other, Francois said that he saw him 3 years prior, while in a taxi in Paris. He said that when their cars stopped at a red light, Jean Marchand looked at him and smiled. Jean denied that this ever occurred, and argued that if he saw him, he wouldn't have smiled. Instead, he would do everything in his power to speak to him.
Oh my God.
Whether this was a false memory induced by Tilly, or if it was Francois' own imagination, is unknown. But it speaks to just how incredible Thierry Tilly's brainwashing was. When their conversation ended, Francois told his father to go away.
Insane.
As he was leaving, Jean reminded him that he was his son, that he loves him, and that one day they would see each other again. After speaking with Francois in Oxford, Jean Marchand tried to visit his daughter, Guillemette, who was living in Bristol. In October of 2007, Tilly separated her from the others, relocated her to Bristol because she was beginning to question him. He ordered Guillaume to take her there by car. She was dropped off at a youth hostel and left with only 20 euros. Eventually, she found work at an Italian restaurant called San Carlo, located in Bristol's city center. There she met with a man named Giuseppe, who owned the restaurant, and they fell in love. The two married on the 6th of June, 2009. Neither her father, Jean Marchand, or her ex-husband, Sebastian, attended the wedding. Ironically, the perverse isolation that Tilly tried to impose onto Guillemette had in fact saved her by allowing her to tie new links without his consent.
Yeah, wow.
Tilly tried to stop the marriage with underhanded comments.
It seems to be key.
But had little success in doing so. When Jean Marchand visited the restaurant in March of 2008 and asked for his daughter, he was told that she didn't work there. Later, he learned that her boss and the whole staff were warned that if he were to visit, she should be told immediately so that she had time to flee. There's a member of the family who I've hardly spoken about throughout this series, and that's Christine and Charles Henri's eldest son, Guillaume. In Guillaume, Tilly found a bright, dependable, and resourceful asset. Therefore, Guillaume was allowed a degree of autonomy that the rest of the family was not. However, his life was still very much controlled by Tilly, who used him as a personal assistant of sorts. When the Bedreens found themselves facing a slew of legal proceedings, Guillaume quickly took action.
That's interesting.
He signed up for a correspondence course in law at the University of London and devoted himself to fighting their legal cases. Working with a tax lawyer, he spent nearly 6 years sorting through the family's documents and visiting courts. Soon he became a lawyer himself. In a passage from Christine's book, Guillaume writes, quote, "This lasted from the end of 2002 until October 2008. 6 years.
God.
I was 25 when this insane task was allotted to me, that of helping my parents and other family members with their judicial proceedings. But in time, Tilly would begin to demonize Guillaume and turn the rest of the family against him. First, he had Ghislaine sign a huge stack of papers, who in her blind faith signed away the rights to her property, her money, and the custody of her children, all to Guillaume. Moreover, Tilly had all of the funds acquired from the sale of Martel transferred into Guillaume's account before having it sent to his own. His reasoning
kind of what Epstein would do, yeah.
First, he hoped that anyone investigating the case would conclude that Guillaume was culpable of defrauding his own family, since the paper trail led directly to him. Secondly, he did this so he could tell the family that it was Guillaume who stole the money received from the sale of Martel, instead of him. Francois recalls that Tilly began to repeatedly tell him that he had evidence that Guillaume had drugged and raped Guillemette. He also kept saying that Guillaume was planning something against the family. After that, Tilly assigned Francois to accompany Guillaume wherever he went in order to watch him. Guillaume later learned that Tilly had been telling Ghislaine and the others that he was a traitor for months. In October of 2008, Tilly kicked Guillaume out of his house and told him that he had 4 days to restore everything he had stolen from his family. The next day, Guillaume received a formal demand to return the profits from the sales of their properties. Ghislaine even informed the police in Oxford that Guillaume was a crook and that he should be arrested on the spot. Then Tilly ordered them to sue Guillaume to recover their missing property and money. In time, a total of 6 legal actions were launched against Guillaume by his family. His father, Charles Henri, disowned him. Guillaume spent the next year fighting his family in court. Having no money for a lawyer, he defended himself. He writes, quote, "For months, every time I saw a police car, I imagined that it was sent by my family in response to some false allegation." After Guillaume, the next family member to leave was his mother, Christine.
Paranoia.
On February 17th,
Dangerous.
Tilly relocated Christine and Charles Henry to a little apartment in Oxford. There the two found jobs. Charles Henry, who before meeting Tilly was a gynecologist and obstetrician, took up work as a gardener, and his wife, Christine, found a job at the Oxford Cheese Company. They both gave 90% of their earnings to Tilly. When Christine started working at the Oxford Cheese Company, she didn't even know what year it was. She walked with a terrible limp due to a hip injury that she sustained during her months of torture. However, she says that she took to her job quickly. There, Christine met with a man named Robert Paget de St. Victor, who would go on to help her break free of Tilly's hold. Robert says that although she was much older than the type of applicant he was looking for, he decided to hire her, perhaps to have someone around to speak French with. To Robert, Christine was a total mystery. He wondered why someone who spoke and behaved like a member of the upper class would take a menial job for €1,000 a month. Over time, she only told him bits and pieces about herself, leaving out anything about her years of sequestration and abuse. She was afraid that Robert was in league with Tilly, and that he was testing her loyalty. So she held her tongue and gave him very little.
That's fucked up.
Then one day, Tilly visited Robert and tried to entice him into a shady business deal. After their conversation, Robert asked Christine about Tilly. Fearing that it was a test, she said nothing. However, Robert did, exclaiming that he thought Tilly was a complete crook and a ridiculous charlatan. They left the conversation at that, but the next day Robert sat her down and asked her to tell him her story, and that she did. After telling him everything, she encouraged him to look up the recluses of Montflancan on the internet. The next morning, Robert informed her that he had spent the whole night researching her story.
Shit.
He persuaded her to make
Me
some
too.
calls. The first call that she made was to her sister. She left a voicemail and got a call back from her brother-in-law almost immediately. Then she called her old friend Mary Helene, who throughout the previous 9 years had worked tirelessly to help save her. Mary Helene met Christine a few days later in Oxford and took her back to France. Several hours after landing in France, Christine left a voicemail for Charles Henry, stating, "There it is then, Charles Henry. It was all too much too much. I had to get away. I love you." In less than 48 hours, Tilly concocted a story to justify Christine's escape, telling them that she never loved Charles Henry, and that his first course of action should be to divorce her. He even went as far as convincing Diane into believing that she had been sexually abused by her mother, and demanded that she make a formal complaint to the police, which she did.
Oh my
Elaine
god.
says in her book that the most impressive part of this ordeal
Oh my god.
is that they believed Tilly, and believed him without hesitation. On the 6th of March 2009, Jean Marchand received a call from Marie Helene, who told him that she was with Christine. After her escape, Christine still exhibited lingering psychological effects from her time under Tilly's control. For example, she initially refused to meet with Jean Marchand, as she was still terrified of him. Christine did, however, meet with Daniel Picotin, a lawyer and cult specialist who Jean Marchand had been working with since 2004. They met in Bordeaux, and after hearing her story, he explained to her the legal elements of the case. Then on the 29th of March 2009, Christine met with a judge who listened to her story. The judge decided to charge Thierry Tilly with abuse of weakness, sequestration aggravated by acts of cruelty,
Finally, Jesus.
abuse of trust,
Holy
fraud.
shit.
Then the judge asked her to lay low and avoid the media. However, all further developments in the case stalled for the next 7 months. The obstacle standing in their way was the English legal system, which was reluctant to cooperate. It seemed impossible to convince the English justice to validate the French steps towards arresting Tilly. First, England did not sign the Schengen Agreement in 1985, which is a treaty that led most European countries towards abolishment of their national borders. Secondly, the offense of abuse of weakness did not exist in English law. Although Tilly already had several charges in England, including money laundering, and although Scotland Yard had already raided his property, the British authorities still refused to cooperate with the investigation. However, with some ingenuity, the French authorities finally figured out a way to lure Tilly into custody. Through a wiretap operation, they learned that Tilly planned to escape to Switzerland. At the time, Tilly's passport and other papers were seized, so they were issued back to him in hopes that he would use the opportunity to flee from England to Switzerland, which is exactly what he did. Before he left England, he announced his departure to the Vadrines and explained that he would return once they had won the war against their enemies. On the 21st of October 2009, Thierry Tilly was arrested in Zurich.
Still with the
As he
enemies.
deplaned, he was met by Swiss authorities and promptly deported back to France. On October 26th, he was incarcerated, and on the 29th, he was indicted. Even still, his influence over 7 members of the Vitrine's family continued. By the time they heard of his arrest, they all agreed that it was part of a cover-up. A team was put together to help members of the family who were still loyal to Tilly. This exfiltration team consisted of Daniel Picotin, a criminologist, a psychoanalyst, John Marchand, Christine, Philippe, Bridget, and a journalist. It was funded by Christine's friend Marie-Helene, in conjunction with others who were sympathetic to their cause.
Wow.
After 9 months of preparation, they all traveled to Oxford. The exfiltration operation was named Bow Window, and it was to take place on November 2nd, 2009. It was called Operation Bow Window because of Ghislaine's habit of looking out the window for possible threats. There are 2 exfiltration missions in total, dubbed Operation Bow Window 1 and Operation Bow Window 2. Operation Bow Window 1 was compromised by several events. First, a lawyer representing a newspaper requested that Jean Marchand sign a release of information. This resulted in an overwhelming amount of unwanted media coverage prior to the exfiltration mission taking place. Second, the actual exfiltration operation was half-baked and poorly organized. They planned to have a cult specialist pose as an MSA agent and visit the family presenting papers for Ghislaine's elderly mother Diamette to sign, which would increase the amount of her pension. If all went smoothly, they hoped that Ghislaine would let the cult specialist in, whereupon she would tell Ghislaine the truth about Tilly, giving the rest of them time to enter the house and stage an intervention. Instead, it didn't work out like that at all.
No shit,
While the cult specialist and Ghislaine spoke, Ghislaine spotted Philippe at the end of the street, blowing their cover and ending the operation immediately.
Like, they didn't believe all this other stuff, but they're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, that'll work.
And then a short scuffle ensued. Police arrived in time to break it up and escorted the youngsters home. Following that, the exfiltration group voluntarily visited the police station to explain what they were doing. They told them of the ongoing investigation in France, of Tilly's arrest, and of their contact with Scotland Yard. A cop patiently listened to them and suggested that they write a letter to the 6 members of the family, still under sequestration. The next morning, on Friday, November 13th, 2009, Ghislaine found a letter slipped under the front door, which was signed by Bridget, Christine, and Philippe. The letter explained that during Tilly's testimony to a judge, he called them lecherous and slimy people who ruined him. Although Ghislaine writes that receiving the letter put her trust in Tilly into significant doubt, she says that since the letter was signed by Bridget, Christine, and Philippe, but not Jean Marchand, she felt like it was a trap. That night, Ghislaine and Francois stumbled upon an episode of Café Crimes in which Jean Marchand was a guest, and the 2 recognized the behavior spoken of in the show. Eventually, they decided that the journalists were being manipulated by Tilly's supranational organization in order to aid him in his mission duties.
Oh, God.
However, with Tilly in jail and the increasing frequency of desertions, it's unlikely that they weren't already experiencing considerable doubt by this point.
Oh my God.
Later, a French news team appeared at their doorstep, asking them for a statement about Tilly. From the
That's
second-story window, Ghislaine explained that Tilly wasn't the man that they thought he was, and that he's been a trustworthy confidant of the family for years. She called his arrest profoundly unjust, and called Christine a liar. The interaction was brief, but made headlines. On Saturday, December 12, 2009, Operation Bow Window 2 took place. The plan went as follows. A cult specialist would pose as a magistrate's emissary and read a transcript to Ghislaine of the negative things that Tilly had allegedly said of the family. The intention was to make her and the others feel betrayed, and thus permanently shake off whatever remained of their allegiance to Tilly. After hearing what Tilly had purportedly said about them, Ghislaine writes that she suddenly became overwhelmingly aware of the extent of Tilly's lies, and told the emissary that she was starting to understand and realize how awful things had really been.
Yeah.
Following that, they all accepted with little hesitation that Tilly was a crook, and that they were all doomed. As I alluded to earlier, by that point their commitment to Tilly was already faltering. He was in jail, and there were certainly no teams watching their property or keeping their enemies away. After Tilly was arrested, they lived for months without hearing from him, left with not much to do and growing doubt, as well as countless visits from journalists, cult specialists, and their liberated family members. It was only a matter of time before reality was bound to reveal itself to them.
Wow.
That same night, the whole family redacted a letter to the judge, which would serve as their testimony against Tilly. Later, the family, with the exclusion of Jean Marchand and Guillaume, met at a pub for a reunion. That same night, they took this photograph. Terry Tilly's trial took place on September 24th, 2012. Prior to that, he spent 3 years in pretrial detention. The Vidrines decided to hold the trial in a magistrate's court, which meant that they wouldn't have to testify before a jury, and that the maximum penalty Tilly could receive would only be 10 years. They chose the magistrate's court because they felt that their story was one that was too convoluted and bizarre for a jury.
Yeah, holy shit, yeah.
Christine writes,
God damn.
Our helpless naivety might even provoke a smile. As for us, even we, when we look back over the whole affair, were incredulous. When Terry Tilly appeared in court, he turned it into a circus. He said that he was a Catholic and disparaged the Vidrines for being mere Protestants. Then he called them a stinky lot. He insisted that the Vidrines had acted willingly, that he had lost money while trying to help what he described as a gang of resentful, greedy, provincial aristocrats. At times, he caused the court to erupt in laughter. In the witness box, he said that he was the king of Israel, that he was the heir of Napoleon III, that his family had participated in the birth of the French Communist Party, that he had been a hostage of the Freemasons, that he was a general, that he could speak 8 languages fluently, including Celtic and Russian. He also said that he was the richest man in France and the founder of Greenpeace. Additionally, he claimed he played a game of chess with Grandmaster Garry Kasparov, and that their game ended in a draw. He then pointed to the Vidrines and said, quote, They are members of my family. I have known them since childhood. I have more than 500 names. I am the richest man in France. I have no interest in ruining the Vidrines.
Like
When one of
insanity
the Vidrines'
plea? I
lawyers
don't...
called him a mixture of Rasputin and Machiavelli, he responded by saying he once offered a copy of the Prince to a Libyan ambassador, who in thanks offered him a signed copy of the Quran. Later, Tilly explained to the judge, quote, I told you 80% of the truth. I apologize for the 20% fantasy. The judge and the magistrates were said to have seemed half amused, half annoyed. The trial lasted for 2 weeks, from September 24th to October 5th. Court testimony from those who knew Thierry Tilly as a child described him as having been a loner who was clumsy and shy, but also cunning. Thierry Tilly's father refuted many of his claims in court, denying them as mere fantasy. He added that although he never had any doubt that his son was bright, he was always a difficult child. During his testimony, Thierry Tilly accused his father of beating him severely
kind of what I'm
while he was a
wondering.
toddler, and
Like,
leaving
maybe
him
this guy
physically
actually was
damaged for life.
delusional. I don't
His
know.
father responded
Maybe
with,
he's crazy
"It's all
too.
deception
Like,
and distortion." He concluded his testimony by saying, "If I had been harder on him,
goddamn.
things wouldn't have come to this."
Yeah, shit.
The most damning testimony came from Christine, who
Maybe.
recounted the torture she suffered for 6 months in January of 2008. Her son Omri broke down a few minutes after his testimony, collapsing into her arms after speaking about the 7 months he spent isolated in an office unit provided by Tilly. During an interview, Christine said, quote, "He could have just ruined us, but his enjoyment was to dominate and control us. How could I forgive everything he did?" Thierry Tilly was sentenced to 8
There's
years
that weird
in prison
narcissist
for the
thing
illegal
again.
arrest,
It's weird.
kidnap, imprisonment, or arbitrary detention of a hostage, for violence against a vulnerable person, and for the criminal exploitation of the ignorance or weakness of a person in a state of psychological or physical subjection. His accomplice, Jacques Gonzalez, was sentenced to 4 years for complicity and concealment of abuse of weakness.
Jeez.
After his conviction, Tilly announced to the court
At
that
least
he was
there's
in
that.
fact a British national, and that he would appeal in the European Court of Justice. Prior to that, Tilly
Yeah,
did not
right?
invoke
Like-
his rights as a British national, or even mention it to his lawyer.
Shit, I thought he was just a con man. Maybe he actually was crazy too, or, yeah,
"We will show
on
what
drugs,
European
something.
law is. This is only the beginning." Then he said, "When I get out of here, whatever the verdict, I will go to the Intelligence Service of London, and in view of my rank, I will be reinstated. I, who graduated from luxury marketing, everything I hear here does not correspond to the facts. I will appeal to the justice of England and America." In the transcript, he continues by talking about his career as a police commissioner. And the court
I
erupted
guess that's
in
more he
laughter.
would have gotten here,
1 year
like
later,
here,
Thierry
shit.
Tilly took his case to the Bordeaux Court of Appeal, where his sentence was increased to
considering
the
it was
maximum
just-
penalty of 10 years. Tilly was also ordered to pay 80,000 euros in damages to Christine and 60,000 euros to Omri. In prison, he received very few visitors. He spent most of his time drafting numerous handwritten letters which he sent to the judge, the
Oh, wow.
contents of which were often nonsensical and conspiratorial. He also continued to control others inside of prison as well, and had to be relocated due to his manipulations.
Wait,
After
who? Wait,
finishing his
what?
10-year sentence,
Who
he
else?
was directly transferred to a psychiatric hospital, where he still remains. His lawyer called it an unlawful detention. Quote, "Tilly is not a crook like the others. He is not one to flee to the Bahamas. He is a mythomaniac who lives in a universe forged in his readings. A Don Quixote, a particular and strange personality. Now he is looking for a haven of peace, so his head can rest and recover from confinement. While under the influence of Tilly, the Vadrines sold their properties, stock portfolios, jewelry, and handed their salaries and pensions to him. After their liberation, a financial investigation estimated that they lost 4.5 million euros. However, 2 million euros remains unaccounted for, and is perhaps hidden in bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. So far, only 220,000 euros of their money has been recovered. Additionally, the Vadrines never recovered Chateau Martel. They won in civil court against a real estate agent who was shown to have acted in bad faith when he sold their property, but they cannot prove the same about the current owners. According to one of France's leading psychiatrists, Daniel Zachary, Tilly used common strategies of cult leaders, con artists, and master manipulators. Daniel Zachary writes that this method was employed in a series of phases. First, Tilly observed his victims for faults and weaknesses. He had an answer for all of their concerns, and he proved himself as someone capable of fixing their problems. Second, he induced group paranoia through fear of unknown dangers, and positioned himself as the only one who could save them. He isolated them, cultivating a paranoid siege mentality. He told them to cut off all ties with the outside world and sequester themselves. Third, once they were enslaved, they lost trust in their own thoughts and autonomy. Hence, a process of infantile aggression followed, in which they were primed to be exploited. He rendered them into children, dependent on him as a parental figure, and for their own survival. Like a small child's dependency on their caregiver, he became their savior, guardian, and protector. Thus, rationality,
there's got to
logic,
be more to this.
intelligence, the critical faculty, or quite simply, autonomy of thought, disappeared. All that being said, he adds that, quote, the mistake that the Vadrines made lay without doubt in its shared belief that they were of noble lineage. As Maria Konnikova writes in her book, The Competence Game, Tilly appealed to the sense they had of themselves as belonging to a distinct and proud minority of French aristocrats. Tilly didn't just create a fantastical story. He created a fantastical story in which the aristocratic family became guardians of a precious part of history. He knew that they were proud of their heritage, and so used that heritage as an entry point into their trust.
There you go.
They weren't simply an aristocratic family. They were an exceptional aristocratic family with a legacy no one else could ever dream of. And that legacy was under threat of extinction. It was their duty, no, their calling, to protect it, to prove themselves exceptional, worthy of the trust history had placed in them. In other words, he made them feel special, and they bought it.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. Oh wait, council. Oh, thank God. Oh shit. Keep going. Okay. Wow. Oh man. Jesus. Wow. Oh my God. Oh wow. Wow. I need a nap. Holy shit. That was exhausting. Like, I can't believe these people lived to just hearing about it. Like, yeah, shit, I'm exhausted. I need a nap. Damn. Yeah, thanks for, like, telling me about this. I don't know if, Little Miss STFU is still here, but damn. This was a good one. Holy shit. yeah, I have to research way more about this because there's got to be more to it. Like, there's no way that this is like the only family or the only people that like he managed to do this with. Even if he was like totally like just a delusional person, like there's no way that he only did this to them. Holy shit. Holy shit. Wow, that was exhausting. That was really good though. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, no, I seriously need a nap right now. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna follow up on this. Like, I'm gonna be down a rabbit hole for a bit about this because I have to know more. But, yeah, I guess before I head off, I'll say again, if you guys are, if that was a whirlwind, then you probably might be interested in hearing the podcast that Vicky Ward made about Jeffrey Epstein and how he like intimidated her and essentially like pulled strings with the head of Vanity Fair to get like the things that her investigation was uncovering about the sexual abuse that he was enacting pulled from the profile that Vanity Fair eventually published about him. So not only that, but also the financial dealings, which a lot of people haven't covered yet. It's so murky that it's hard to really like untangle. So she did a really good job on that, and it is a I don't know, what is it, like an Audible Prime exclusive, so I don't know if it's like posted everywhere. And yeah, I don't know if it would be like possible for me to like share it on here. So if you guys do want to hear about that, then I guess shit, why not? I'll just say like, I guess this thing we're gonna do now. Yeah, we can have listening parties about that if you guys want. Which I'll play the podcast, and then then maybe we can come on here and discuss it if anyone wants to come on. I don't know, does that sound good? You guys into that? I don't know. Hopefully. Well, if you are and you're watching this, leave a comment. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, I've been on here for like over 3 hours. Holy shit. I did not expect to be on this long. Yeah. Thanks for being here, you guys. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate it. It's always fun. And I promise, like, we will have more live streams. This will be more consistent, I promise. I'm getting all the stuff I have to get taken care of. And yeah, we'll be gearing up finally, I guess. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'll see you guys. I'm gonna pass out.